What's up, everybody? Welcome to PSI Love You XOXO episode 18. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the OK Beast Blessing, Adeoye Jr.
Greg Miller, first of all, thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have
Appreciate
you.
it.
I'm glad you could join us once again. You're a hard man to book.
I know it happens. It's my prices, Greg.
It's true.
I'm so
I know,
expensive.
these day rates.
Yeah, and they're only going higher. Secondly, which Sony executive, past or present, do you think makes the most fire mac and cheese? Because off the bat, my mind tells me Gio Corsi. I feel like Gio Corsi could whoop up a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Gio's a great pick, right? Here's the
I've been thinking about this.
Here's where I jump to, because Gio cooks like nobody's fucking business. You want to
see? I've never had his cooking before.
I'm about to blow your mind, I know, and it blew my mind too. Right? Once went to his house. You know what he got from this butcher closer to PlayStation? Blue steaks, like the steaks, the color of them blue, like not like the temperature, not like he cooked them and they were blue. Maybe they're is it blue or black? Forget it. It's a crazy color though that meat never is, and it was so goddamn delicious. All right,
but stick with black, right? They're black.
Is it black or blue?
Blue was it green is the temperature.
No, blue. Yes, and that's why I'm probably getting confused.
I think it's
right?
black.
You and I
so they're dry age. Dry age.
I think so. Hold on, we're gonna call him.
I just like the idea of steaks that are kind of funny blue that Greg is eating, and he's like, "Yeah, this is fire. This is the
unavailable, but I'll call you back as soon as I can. Thanks."
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Gio, it's Greg Miller. You're on PS I Love You XOXO episode 18 right now. We're talking about what a great cook you are, and I was trying to talk about those steaks you got from down when you worked closer to PlayStation. Were they blue or black? What was the color of them? I think it was probably black, right? Like they were just like jet black. Call me back with this because I need to know, and you can be on the show anytime you want to because we're talking about what a good chef you are. Bye. All right, so back to it. Here's what are you defining as bomb ass mac and cheese?
Miller, do they look like this at all?
Let me full.
Also, it shocks me that you don't remember the color of a steak if it's blue.
I'm afraid I had a few drinks when I was hanging out, and I just remembered the steaks were a crazy color. No, it wasn't like
blue
that.
Blue is a crazy color.
No? Hold on, blue San Mateo steaks.
That's like black steaks is like, oh, okay, this is unique. Like a black steak, a blue steak, it's like, oh snap, okay, we're like in
something right here.
Yeah, it's like, oh snap, is this food coloring? Why is this meat blue?
Jen, what color were the steaks Gio made that one time? They were black. She says they were black too. Yeah. Okay. They were like a marinade, and they were just jet black. The meat was just jet black. There was none of this white marbling that you're showing me, Kev.
Well, I mean, like these other ones.
I don't see your cursor. I don't think. I just see the ones.
I mean, those. I mean, imagine the fat was cut off. You know. Some of these guys on the right, he's got a lot of fat.
Yeah.
In it.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. But how are you defining your bomb ass mac and cheese?
I mean, however you define it. Like for me, bomb ass mac and cheese means that like the cheese is all like when you're separating the mac, you know, the way the cheese departs.
Okay,
from the
You're
mac,
talking about that good string pull. You want that good?
Yeah, you get them string boys. Yeah, them string boys connect each of the macaroni together.
Here's what I float out there about it is that I bet Gio Corsi's mac and cheese, because of course, you know, Gio, of course, from a family here of chefs. They got a cookbook, they got restaurants, they got a whole bunch of stuff. Gio's mac and cheese, I bet, is bomb ass steakhouse mac and cheese. You know what I mean? Like you're paying $18 a serving of it, and you're not like pissed off about it. You're there on the company dime. You're celebrating. You got this black steak. You got
18,
You got this amazing mac and cheese. Who I would put into contention here, and I'd love to see for the and the granted, we're just pulling people we know, out of our line. I'd like to throw Adam Boyes into the mix. Not because I think Adam Boyes could live up to the professionalism of one Gio Corsi's mac and cheese, but Adam Boyes, of course, has children, meaning he probably makes a lot of mac and cheese. And as somebody who's, when he would watch Cooking with Greg, he would write into me with crazy, stupid tips and stuff like that. What is he doing to his mac and cheese to put it on that other level so he's not bored with it? His wife's not bored with it. The kids aren't bored with it. You know what I mean?
I can see that. One that we haven't brought up that I think could be a contender is Jack Tretton. I feel like Jack Tretton.
I thought about Jackie T right away.
He strikes me as like, you don't know what he's about to bring. You know, you see him pull up to the function, you see him pull up to the barbecue, the family barbecue,
Sure.
and he has his Tupperware with mac and cheese, and you're like, I don't know what this is gonna be. He busts it out, and then you remember that Jack Tretton is a family man. I assume. I assume he has a family. I actually don't know much about. Yeah, you remember that he's a family man. You remember that this man, this man has a history with not only with PlayStation, but also with the family. I don't know. I imagine you might be able to pull out something that we might not.
I mean,
expect.
I'm probably
and possibly Sean Layden.
I'm probably showing my biases here, but I believe that Jackie T is just too white collar to make a great mac and cheese.
You think
know
so?
What I mean? You need like a salt of the earth. You need to have grown up on the boxed mac and cheese to then be able to go, what do I want my mac and cheese to be that I'm making here? Jack strikes me as he's got a bourbon in one hand, sunglasses on his head, and then his other hand on the the wheel of his boat. He's got a boat.
I feel like we have that assumption for both, or perception for both Jackie T and probably Sean Layden, right? When it comes to the mac and cheese conversation. But
Sean Layden, interesting.
Do we know this for sure about them? Like, is that them, or is that just their how they have to present themselves, for work? Like at home.
What are they?
Do you not think that they're out there like really like cooking up a storm?
Here's what I know is Jack Tretton, after his PlayStation day, he showed up to, of course, do the video for Kinda Funny Live. And when he walked in, he just looked like Jack Tretton, like he just walked off the E3 stage. So I just assume he's always in a collared shirt. He's always in slacks. He's always, down to make a $1 billion business deal, not so much to go make a bomb ass mac and cheese. And now, don't get me wrong, of course, if we've offended Jack, Sean, Gio, Adam, anyone in the PlayStation
we haven't even mentioned
executive lineup
or Andrew House.
Feel free to send your mac and cheese to our studio if we've offended
Andrew House,
you.
isn't he British? He's got nothing. He doesn't know how to make food. You know what I mean? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just boiling it all at once, pulling it out, saying, "Oi, governor." That's where that goes. Here's what: if we've offended anybody, they are welcome when this all blows over, this COVID crisis, to come do it. They can bring their best mac and cheese to the Kinda Funny studio. We will judge it.
I'm down for that. A Kinda Funny PlayStation executives past for president, mac and cheese off. You know I'm down for it.
I'm glad I have your seal of approval on this. This is a great idea, and you've really brought us in the community together. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's what I do, Greg.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to update. Of course, I'm going to make myself a little note here, right here on the thing, to put this. What PlayStation executive? We're saying executive. How are you defining executive?
I guess all the people we just named, right? They have been or are in executive positions, right?
Yeah.
Because we can expand it out too. Like, we don't just have to.
Where are you going to draw the line? Because they're going to throw out some environment artist at Naughty Dog, right?
That's a good point.
That's too far. That's too deep a cut. You know what I mean? Executive.
Now, are we looping in like first party studios? Like, are we looping in
their PlayStation, right? Their branded PlayStation, and then that's when it gets interesting. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do with an Arnie Meyer type fellow? Making bread from scratch all the time. I see it on his Instagram. Where does he draw the? Is he a mac and cheese person either? You know what I mean? I feel like we should keep it simple. PlayStation executives.
Is Neil Druckmann? We wouldn't call Neil Druckmann an executive, right? He works on.
He got promoted to what he's like. What is he? He's a partner or whatever at the studio now. He's something at Naughty Dog. Remember that when he got the promotion? Hold on, Neil.
There's my doorbell. I assume that's Shuhei at my house. Being like, yo, why didn't you mention me earlier?
He's vice president of Naughty Dog now. So yes,
okay, so that's an executive. Yeah, yes, exactly. That's an executive. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think that counts. If you're a VP, we know what an executive position is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
VP, president, chairman.
Sure.
Like one of those types of roles.
Chairperson. It's 2020.
Chairperson. Right? That's a good person. That's a good point.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about this no more. But what I'm going to encourage you to go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. I'm going to include on the PS I Love You XOXO questionnaire your bet for who has the best, or what PlayStation executive makes the best mac and cheese from scratch. Give me your reasoning as well, why you do it. Of course, though, now we're going to get into the real show and talk about some PlayStation things, such as The Last of Us hack being explained, Dreams getting a demo, and so much more, because this is PlayStation. No, it's not. It's PS I Love You XOXO, your weekly PlayStation deep dive conversation. We just sit here and nerd out about PlayStation. If you enjoy nerding out about PlayStation, well, that's great. You should be part of the show at patreon.com/kindafunnygames. You can give us your questions, your comments, your concerns, your everything under the PlayStation sun, including your PSN profile for us to ridicule and or be in awe of. Today is an in awe of day. Of course, at patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show. You can get it live like so many people are on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames right now. Of course, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. Like I said, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. Each and every Tuesday morning, a brand new episode for you. And shoot. Housekeeping for you. That core stream we talked about a long time ago is finally happening. If you don't know what I'm talking about, right before this whole COVID thing popped off, we're going to help do this big old reveal for Core, the game where you whip up your own multiplayer video games, publish them, and play them with the world. Well, like I said, COVID got in the way of that, but we are back on track. So Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, you can join Andy, myself, and the developers of Core as they make games and test them out with you. That's going to go, like I said, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Your job right now is to go get the Core Alpha. If you go to coregames.com, you can download it and you can start playing it. And then when we're live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, you, of course, can play along with us, create stuff with us, or run the games we make in the moment. So download Core at coregames.com. Come watch us play Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Even if you don't want to download it, even if you don't want to play, come check it out. And of course, you can follow at Core Games on Twitter for updates. Why is it here if it's a PC game? Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, this reminds me a lot of Dreams. And I think it has a lot of cool implications for play, create, share. I'm really into it. I think you should come check it out too. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Mohammed, a.k.a. Momo, The Predator, Al Tribesman, James Hastings, Sancho West Gaming, Cody Banks, Trent Berry, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Joseph O. Youssef, and Scott Radloff. Today, we're brought to you by our sponsor, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's start this week's X's and O's. Blessing, what are the biggest stories in PlayStation?
We didn't talk about Herman Holst either. I feel like Herman Holst might enlighten us about what
here's the
European
thing about it. And
like.
if Herman's listening, go ahead and hit us up. Of course, I don't know how big mac and cheese is in Amsterdam. Is that a thing?
But that's the thing. Like it might just be a low key
transcend?
Like, because you imagine they have mac and cheese everywhere in the world. Like the food is so it translates, right? Like I couldn't imagine living in a country that doesn't have mac and cheese. And so I think you then ask yourself when it comes to Amsterdam, what is the mac and cheese like? Right? Because it doesn't have to be a big food, right? Like people might not go to mac and cheese regularly in Amsterdam, but like what is like, you know how there's mainstream rap and there's underground rap, right? Like what is the underground mac and cheese in Amsterdam? You know, what are they making that we're just not aware of? What are they putting in there in Amsterdam?
Yeah, I mean, I the first guess is marijuana, of course, because like
yeah,
that's
exactly,
shtick, right?
That's Amsterdam's whole shtick. Yeah.
What time is it?
It's marijuana.
Is it?
What are you searching over there?
I'll tweet at Herman, but if it's like 2 a.m, 11:16, I'll roll the dice. I'm gonna just tweet at Herman Holst, no context. Is there mac and cheese in Amsterdam?
Greg, story number one, or item number one, however we're calling these. X's and O's number one. We know how Naughty Dog got hacked. Now, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Naughty Dog because as of the time we're recording this, Last of Us 2 has gone gold. Whoop, whoop. So round of applause. Good stuff, Naughty Dog.
I'm expecting my code any second.
Not
true. We will not get it for quite some time.
We've been talking about this over the last week. As it's happened, right? There was a whole Naughty Dog leak. Last of Us 2, the story got out there. People have been experiencing spoilers, all this stuff on social media. Over the last weekend, we've kind of figured out what's been going on, or at least like seemingly figured out certain details from certain sources. Let's get into it. So on gamesindustry.biz, Rebekah Valentine, she wrote an article this weekend, or she made an update actually to a gamesindustry.biz article about the leak. And her update reads as follows. Sony has confirmed to gamesindustry.biz that it has identified the primary individuals responsible for the leaks earlier this week, saying they were not affiliated with Sony Interactive Entertainment or Naughty Dog, as was rumored. The publisher declined to comment further, saying that the information was currently subject to an ongoing investigation. And of course, this is also coming off of the conversations we were having on the previous episode of PS Love You, where there were theories that it was a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. Yeah,
and we were like, there's not a chance in hell that would be true, that you would ruin your entire career.
Yeah, but like the internet kind of took this story and kind of ran with it.
And I gotta say, it's the first time the internet has just run off in the wrong direction based on little to no information ever.
Oh yeah, this never have happened before.
Yeah.
There are a few tweets from Jason Schreier over the weekend, giving you more context. Jason Schreier tweeted this. Okay, After talking to 2 people with direct knowledge of how The Last of Us 2 leaked, as well as some Naughty Dog employees, I have a good idea of what happened. Short version, hackers found a security vulnerability in a patch for an older Naughty Dog game and used it to get access to Naughty Dog servers. He then follows up that tweet with another tweet saying, I think the footage that leaked is from devs playing an early build. I haven't watched it. Most importantly, rumors of this being an act of protest by a contractor whose pay was robbed are not true. Naughty Dog actually extended pay and healthcare benefits for contractors due to COVID. And so there you go. There's the update.
Because that's the thing is this goes with, right? I remember Reb saying it in the first question, then being, well, then who the fuck leaked this, right? If this is how it is that they were not affiliated with SIE or Naughty Dog, that's so who, you know, I remember reading it and be like, well, then how the hell did this happen? Even Jason's point you get into and you're like, okay, it's through a patch, but what does that mean? What happens next?
What does that mean? Steven from Kotaku kind of did a deep dive and talked to people who are familiar with the matter and kind of broke it down for us. And so Steven from Kotaku writes this. Last weekend's shocking leak of footage from The Last of Us Part 2 was likely committed by hackers who exploited a security vulnerability in prior Naughty Dog games, according to a person who said they were familiar with the hack. Kotaku has confirmed some of the details with a second source who is familiar with how development studio Naughty Dog's games are structured. The details of the apparent hack were first shared on Twitter late Saturday night by a person going by the name of Pixelbutts. That's right.
That's the name you can take to the bank. If you can't trust the hacker named Pixelbutts, who can you trust?
Who later elaborated over direct message about how the exploit was discovered. He declined to share his real name. He described a sequence of events that started in January. That's when he says a hacker group discovered a method for accessing the Amazon servers for Naughty Dog games using what was essentially password information included in the code for the studio's games, including 2011's Uncharted 3 and 2013's The Last of Us. Those games access the servers for multiplayer functionality, but apparently could also be used to fetch files stored there. Quote, the Uncharted 3 code, or the Uncharted 3 key got them Uncharted 3 development material, and Uncharted 2's key did the same, but there was some Last of Us 1 content mixed in with the Uncharted 3 server, end quote, Pixelbutts said. It wasn't too much of a stretch to think the Last of Us 1 server would have the Last of Us 2 material, he continued. By March, he said the group grabbed at least 1 terabyte of data from the part of the server associated with The Last of Us. That timeline tracks with what leaked of the highly anticipated upcoming PS4 exclusive. At least one of the pivotal plot-spoiling cutscenes that was posted online by the leaker included developer code that identified the footage as being from an April 1st build of the game. While the leak also included gameplay footage, it's unclear if the hackers would have been able to obtain a playable build of the game, as opposed to gameplay footage recorded by Naughty Dog and saved on the studio's servers. Pixelbutts claimed to have notified Naughty Dog of the security flaw in February, and also says he neither participated in the hack nor has obtained any of the materials that leaked. He told Kotaku today that the key to access the Amazon servers was changed on or before April 30th, closing off the apparent hole that allowed for the leak. A Sony PlayStation rep did not reply to Kotaku's request to comment about this account. Greg, what is your takeaway from all of this?
Oh, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what a way for it to happen. Like, there's so many, like, this whole story is so fucking sad all around. And I don't even mean, and I'm not trying to be melodramatic about it. Like, obviously, there's worse things in the world and yada, yada, yada. But for this team at Naughty Dog who's been working on this game so long, for the fans who've been waiting for it, like, and to find out that it wasn't somebody dropping a flash drive, it wasn't somebody on the team being angry, it was just that these hackers were smart enough to look at the code and figure out a backdoor way into the servers, let alone then for Naughty Dog to sit there and be like, wow, there's no one to blame but ourselves for this. Whether, I of course, am a complete moron when it comes to any kind of technology, whether this is something that was super obvious or should have been super obvious from an IT perspective, or whether it was just something that got overlooked and is actually, so far into the minutia that why would you ever think that, right? Like, it's so crazy and ridiculous to think that the PlayStation's biggest game of the year, maybe arguably the generation, depending on where you want to fight and talk about things and talk about how much we love Cory Barlog, for that to be leaked this way, right, and get in this. And again, like, if you're on that, like, I can't imagine how many drinks have been had, I guess, over Zoom calls with Naughty Dog, right, or even just family members who are sitting there drinking together and being like, if only we could have hit that first date. If only we could have come out in February. This never would have happened, right? This wouldn't have been a thing. If only we were still coming in May, at least it would have been a tighter, closer turnaround. Maybe you would have had stuff off the servers or whatever done, or maybe it just wouldn't be gestating as long as it is, where it's like to this, day, like it's crazy and maddening in a way that like when Naughty Dog tweets about this, they have to say like in their official tweets, like, don't look at the comments of this. Don't, you know what I mean? Like when they put up Neil's video today about going gold, they were very clear of don't look at the comments. People are going to try to spoil this game for you now, right? And it's not even that, because I know that like obviously games have been spoiled before. There's been leaks before. There's been all these different things, but I think usually the vault rules for it, right, are to ignore it, act like it doesn't exist, and the fact that this is so prevalent and so real, right? That these are real spoilers. There's no maybe it's not really that. Maybe it is somebody fucking with you. Like no, this is the real deal. That they have to come out and say this, right? Like even. You mentioned it and I just did too, but like Neil's video published today on Instagram, right? And on YouTube for Naughty Dog, thanking everybody. Hey, we've gone gold. This is so cool. Like there's this tinge of sadness to it, right? Like it's right there. It's, I mean, it's just below the surface of the message. And he even talks about it at one point of just like, it's been a fucking ride, right? And it sucks that this is where it's at. And even if you think you don't know. And he says it right in the video. Like if this is a video game, you need to play it to actually understand what's going on.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It sucks. It's heartbreaking. And yeah, like to the point of the Gone Gold video that Neil Druckmann put out today, right? Like I think like we often forget like how human like a lot of video game projects are, right? Like how like people actually work on video games. Like I think in a lot of our minds, like we know that, but we don't know that. Like we kind of attached to them. Yeah, like you don't necessarily see the faces, not even just Neil Druckmann, right? But like of all the other people that worked on the game, because there's like hundreds of people touch big AAA, quadruple A games, right? That we get to sit in our living room and blast through in like 20 hours, right? Like that's a job that somebody worked on for a good like 3-4 years, from every aspect of it, right? Like people who are working on just lighting, people who are working on audio, people who are acting in the game, people who are directing it, people who are writing the story, right? Like there are so many hands that touch a game, and like there's so many people that are super passionate, like not even so, like all the people I just mentioned, right? Super passionate about the work they're putting into a thing. Whether or not like we talk a lot about the crunch that's been reported at Naughty Dog and work conditions at Playin Studios and all this stuff, right? And that stuff does feed into it, but at the same time, right? Like there are like there's a lot of gray, when it comes to this stuff, right? Like you want to. Like when the stories of the disgruntled worker thing came through, right? Like I think there are a lot of different takes about like, oh well, it's a worker giving it back to the man or whatever, or like I guess like people saying that we shouldn't dismiss like what the workers are going through, right? I think there's so much that goes into all that, like there's so much that goes into the situation as far as a game being leaked. And like what might come with that, right? In this case, it's hackers. In this case, it's assholes coming through and not necessarily ruining the work of people, because like
trying to spoil the party.
Trying to spoil the party for people, right? For the workers and for fans, right? That have been waiting for this game over the like since Last of Us 1, right? Since 2013. But with that even, right? Like you look at Neil's message, you look at Neil's video, and you're like, yeah, man, like you forget that actual humans like touched a thing and created a thing that like all of us are very much looking forward to, are going to play, and are going to take that and have kind of a legacy with it going forward.
And it's that thing of they made it with the idea of you playing it and being surprised. And so when somebody shouts something out in the comments or shows a video or a screenshot on Twitter or whatever and ruins a moment to that, whether or makes it so that all of a sudden, and this is what we were talking about last week, right? Of like it poisons the well in terms of IGN or us or whoever being able to do this last second speculation. Here's, oh my God, what is this going to happen? Who's, how's this all going to net out? It ruins that, but then it also ruins like what we're seeing, where they can't even have a nice moment, any video, and not mention this, or in very clear text point out not to read the comments on it, right? Like stay away from this. Like this should be.
It's a bummer.
This is them crossing the finish line. It should be. And you brought up crunch, and obviously Jason's done a whole bunch of good work there and talking about what's going on and what we're hearing out of Naughty Dog, other studios as well, but specifically Naughty Dog in this instance, right? It's that problem and chicken and the egg thing we always talk about with crunch too, and you're talking about them being humans, right? Is that for so many people who are pushing themselves to work these crazy long days, right? It's them pushing themselves and then them as a team pushing each other. And it's not necessarily from the top down, Evan Wells sitting there, screaming at everybody to stay late or whatever. It is this mantra. It is this mindset. It is this, that we're the best and we're going to make all this stuff. And it's what we've talked about before, right? Of like, you crunch thinking you're going to hit this February date and then it gets pushed. You crunch it, you're going to hit that date, then it's COVID. Then, all these different things that are making this a never ending saga for them. I'm sure they're all exhausted. But it's also that thing is that they're crunching with the finish line being that they're making a great product and getting it out to people. And they're going to be celebrated for them and have that moment. And they're going to get to share in the reactions and the videos and the, people's playthroughs of that. And so having that spoiled is not only souring, this work they've put in, it's souring why they put it in, I think, in a lot of different ways. And granted, I think it's the normal thing where that's all in the moment. That's all right now. It's all we can talk about, what, a little more than a month away from the game. Or I guess 2 months now or whatever. It's this thing of that's what's eating up the oxygen. And by the time we get to release, it won't be nearly as bad as it seems right now. But again, for them to be at this moment, this thing of like, all right, fine, we got a release date. All right, fine, it's gone gold, but it's still like the headlines still are. Even our show right today, right, is about them getting hacked and how it could happen and what's going on. It's like that's not what they want to talk about right now.
Of course, yeah. And by the like you just said, right? By the time we get there, I'm sure this isn't going to be the conversation that's had
Sure.
around Last of Us, right? Like they're gonna have a launch trailer. There's gonna be different things that are happening. Like E3 is gonna be happening also around. Maybe not E3, but games are gonna be revealed. Like there's gonna be so much noise and so many other things happening around that time that the conversation when Last of Us 2 gets here isn't necessarily going to be like, oh yeah, man, it sucks that they were hacked, it sucks that everything got leaked. Like there's gonna be a tinge of that, but I think there's also gonna be so much else going into it that like this will end up mattering very little in the grand scheme of things. And also like to speak on the crunch stuff, right? Like I think what I was even trying to get at earlier is that like Ned or Stacy that's working at Naughty Dog, like both can be like everything can be true above, right? Like Ned or Stacy could be like, yeah, this crunch sucks, or like, yeah, work sucked this week because of X, Y, and Z, because I had to stay super late every single day this week because animation was taking their time or whatever was happening that led to me having to crunch this whole week. But at the same time, like that same person, right, Ned or Stacy, could still be like, fuck yeah, man, like this game is gonna be dope when it comes out. I'm really excited for people to get their hands on this. I'm really excited about the work I'm putting in. And so yeah, once again, it sucks.
No, you're talking about the duality of it, where it is that, and that's again why this is such a complicated issue, crunch in general, and the hours of it, because it is. Whenever there's a real discussion, and this is a real discussion, but I mean, it doesn't need to be a podcast just about crunch, right? Especially because we've never crunched on a video game. But there is this argument of, can you have a creative product and not crunch on it in some way? Because even for us, with the stupid stuff we do here, just talking, I mean, like that leads to all-nighters for Kevin. That leads to us waking up in the middle of the morning. I mean, like it leads to different things. And granted, again, I'm not saying what we do talking about video games into a camera is crunch exactly, but it is that thing of pushing yourself and doing things that are crazy and outlandish, and then doing it again. And like in general, an E3 is that way for people covering games. Now, granted, again, crunch can be for a video game 3 months long and a completely different ball of wax and all those things, but it is the duality that you're talking about where, and I think even Jason's article, which I just pulled up from Kotaku from March, right, talks about it, right, where he's like, on May 29th, The Last of Us Part 2 will come out. Those who have worked on it tell me they believe it will be phenomenal. Another shining entry in Naughty Dog's quest for excellence at all costs. Some say they think it's the best game Naughty Dog has ever made. Yet there are also those developers, some of whom still work at Naughty Dog today, who say that there's a part of them that actually wishes the game would fail. A critical flop might help show Naughty Dog that this isn't the best way to make games, that this level of sacrifice isn't necessary, that maybe the project isn't worth losing all of these people, that perhaps no matter how many Game of the Year nominations they win or how high their Metacritic climbs, all the individual hairs on Joe's elbows and grains of sand in a burlap sack just aren't worth the cost. And again, that's the thing, right, of like they can be incredibly proud of the work they've done and what they've created, but also be like, there needs to be a change here. This isn't the right way to do it. And also you can vacillate on that where you hate the long nights one night or for most nights. And then there's other nights where you have a breakthrough and you have this big creative moment in that. Like, it's not that crunch is bad, period. It is this thing of crunch is complicated and for the most part not how anybody wants to see people treated. And then it gets back to where we were talking about back with the old Rockstar stuff, you know what I mean, of Dan Houser bragging about the 100-hour work week, which then even if he's not, you know, sitting there telling everybody to work 100 hours, if he says something like that, then everybody thinks they should work it, which is also paired into this Naughty Dog article of we're the best studio in Sony's first party. Of course, we're going to bust our ass to make this happen.
Yeah, like a lot of it comes down to work culture, and a lot of it comes down to like the nuances of the day-to-day of a studio, because like, yeah, you have like that case from the Jason Schreier article, right, of the dude or whoever being like, yeah, man, I kind of hope this game fails so that Naughty Dog takes a step back and kind of re-examines things, right? Like,
there has to be a change.
Yeah, like I think there was a similar quote from an article about BioWare, I want to say last year or the year before, about somebody talking about like Dragon Age Inquisition, hoping that failed in a similar way, so that BioWare would have to take a step back and look at the culture they're cultivating and understand that it's not the greatest environment to work in. Like, you know, all of the above can be true as far as people being fed up with their work environment, people being passionate about the work and wanting to see it succeed, but then also maybe other people at the studio being like, nah, man, this sucks. Like we need change now. Like all the above can be true. And I think for us on the outside looking in, it's very much difficult to kind of grasp, because we're not there, because we're not in the studio and seeing like how different departments are interacting with each other, and how like Chad, Ned, or Stacy, or whoever over here, you know, loves their job, loves their work, loves everything that's going on, but then like somebody over here is like, nah, man, like this sucks and this needs to change.
To bring it all to, you're right, you're nailing it.
Yeah.
And to bring it all the way back to what we're talking about with this leak, right? It all comes back to the people who make these amazing things that are escapes for us and forms of entertainment for us. I want them to have the best working experience possible. And I want them to be rewarded in the most sensible way as possible. I want them to feel the reward of creating this in the way I feel the reward of playing it. And so that works as, yes, I think the crunch culture in video games needs to be fixed and amended. And I don't think that's a light switch on-off moment. I think that is talking it out and I think it is people taking time when they need it. And it is bosses being very clear. You do not have to work this way. And I know that's impossible as somebody who has an employee in Andy who works very specifically of like, Andy will sleep, you know, when he's not on camera, and then he will be on camera, and then he will be up till 3 a.m. streaming, and then he'll start working on a project. And it's that thing of like, I'll wake up to text or slacks from him that are like, hey, I stayed up till 5 a.m. so I did all this stuff, but and it's like, I know he's working. He's just working at different hours, and I don't want to get in the way of that creativity, right? But I also don't want him to feel like he's exhausted and all he does is work and all he does is this. So it's like, crunch culture is already better, I think, because we talk about it. Because back when I started, it was very much the celebrated of, here's a mattress. This is where we sleep when we're making the game. Ha ha ha, high five kind of thing. Whereas now it is more of a, hey, how can people take care of each other? How can we take care of our creatives? And in the same vein as all that, it comes back to this hack thing of like, what a kick in the fucking teeth, right? Like, this isn't a somebody saw over your shoulder because you were doing something stupid on the subway. This isn't you got drunk and mentioned it at a GDC party and someone overheard and wrote it up. This isn't, you know, you accidentally tweeted something, you sent the wrong PDF, you did whatever. This is that you work on it and you think you're doing everything right, but in the back end through some thing that's way too complicated for me to understand, of somebody playing your game and looking at this code and understanding that they can dial back that way. It fucking sucks, man.
I got this question here from Rafael Costa, who writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames just like you can, and says, hi, Greg and Bless. Do you think it is possible for The Last of Us 2 to be a flop? I'm asking this because I'm seeing a lot of hate and people saying that they're going to cancel their pre-orders after the leaks. I haven't seen the leaks and I'll buy it on day one, but I would like to hear your thoughts. And I assume this is coming off of, I've heard, I'm not going to get into any of the details of the leaks, obviously, but like, I've seen some of the responses of like, what was that, Greg?
You can mention the spaceship.
Oh yeah, there's a Horizon Zero Dawn spaceship that. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, there's not even spaceships in Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know where I got that from.
Hey, it's when they went to the moon.
Oh yeah, they did go to the moon. That's what it was from. Yeah. But I've seen like responses to the leaks, like only like a few people being like people being unhappy with what was being leaked, essentially.
Sure.
As far as like, well, what was in there. Do we think The Last of Us 2 can be a flop? I think it's an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question, and it's one of those, how do you want to cut it? You know what I mean? Like, can it review and have a terrible Metacritic? Review poorly and have a terrible Metacritic? Of course it can. How many games have I played at a preview or seen something for or been super hyped for, and then you get there and it doesn't live up to that expectation? Of course it can. It's one of those where Last of Us has everything to lose, I think, because it is, if you were, I mean, we did the draft, which maybe we'll have time to talk about today, right, for the fantasy draft, and it was the number one pick. Like, I think if you were coming into 2020 talking about Game of the Year candidates, it's on that list, and it's not short by any stretch of the imagination, but you're like, oh yeah, Last of Us, Cyberpunk, like, you know what I mean? Like, those are the games everybody's turning their eyes to and being like, well, clearly they're the front runners for it, which is cool, but it's always the most expectation. You have everything to lose in this conversation, whereas somebody else like a Celeste can come out of the blue and be like, holy shit, this game's amazing, and you didn't have any expectations, you didn't know you're getting into, and suddenly that's floored you in a way that you don't have to work uphill for. Can Last of Us fail in that respect? Yes. Can it flop sales wise? I don't think so. Not based on what we're talking about here. What you're talking about, and I was trying to see if Herman responded with thing. Raphael, what you're talking about when you're like, I'm asking because I'm seeing a lot of hate from people saying they're going to cancel their pre-orders after the leaks. With all due respect, those people suck. And this is the most part, and I'm painting with a broad brush. So again, I shouldn't say that. Actually, I'm using hyperbole here. The people I've seen saying this, and the people I've seen Neil screenshotting his stories on Instagram, right, are the ones who are the exact same people who were mad about the Left Behind, right, when the revelations in that happened, and they were like, you SJWs kind of thing. Like, that's the vocal minority seeming a lot bigger than they are. Like, what I actually go back to when you want to talk about sales is keep in mind that of the millions and millions of people that are going to buy The Last of Us Part 2, such a tiny percent of them are made up by us. And that means that such an overwhelming percentage is outside right now, or not outside, but at their houses right now, with no idea The Last of Us endings have leaked, no idea that that people don't like this or don't like that. And instead of the same thing of, I've had The Last of Us I've had The Last of Us Part 2 spoiled for me in terms of, I'm reading through, you're wrong, I'm looking through my comments, I've seen screenshots, I've seen text, whatever, you know what I mean? I haven't bothered to dive into it and connect all the things and go watch the videos. I want to play the game, obviously. And frankly, I don't care that this stuff's been spoiled for me, like, because I still want to experience it and see how we get there and what happens. But the people who are mad and what I've seen them being mad about, it seems like they're just mad at Neil Druckmann for pushing an agenda, and they're trying to shove all this shit down our throats and yada yada. And it's like, well, okay, like, you seem like a person I wouldn't want to hang out to begin with. Like, you don't seem like you want to have a conversation about this to begin with, because now you're not even arguing about what you've played or experienced. You're arguing about the Cliff Notes version you saw on a subreddit. And it's like, so what is the point there? Like, I don't think this game is going to flop based on that. I don't think the people who are going to, as most of the time when people are like, I'm going to cancel my pre-orders, they usually don't cancel their pre-orders. That's usually something you leave in the comments when you're really, really angry about something and think that's the end of it. There's definitely certain people who, knowing the ending means they won't play it again. But I think, again, they're a small percentage of this. And again, to be clear, before I'm tarred and feathered by anybody else here, I'm not saying, I'm painting with a broad brush in the beginning and I was using hyperbole. I'm very much talking about the assholes out there. You can see you can have looked at that stuff and be like, I don't like this, I don't like that, blah, 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 and have a totally rational experience and a rationale why. A lot of these people the ones I'm specifically talking about, do not have that.
Yeah, if we're talking about, like, will the game flop commercially due to the spoilers? Absolutely not. Like, if we're talking about, like, the people in the grand scope of The Last of Us Part 2, like, of its release, like, that are going to play the game, that were spoiled by it, we're talking about, like, probably, like, less than 2% of people that, like, are going to end up seeing those spoilers and who had interest in the game. Like, the vast majority of people are not going to have any interaction with the spoilers before they get to play the game.
And I'll paint with a broad stroke here, because I'm, again, not trying to single out a site. This is akin to reading the IGN, YouTube, GameSpot, the comments when you wade into the internet comments, and the people who are there and not in the Kind of Funny Best Friend community, right, where we foster let's have a real discussion. We can disagree, but we can be civil. You can have these are the people who just want to troll and flame and do all this different stuff and just rage on the internet with their anonymity, right? That's who we're talking about here. And, like, why you can't look at that, Raphael, and say, oh, well, I'm going to extrapolate from this that because these people are so angry at this spoiler decision they don't understand, that they're canceling their pre-orders. Like, no, that's not how it works.
And as far as can The Last of Us Part 2 be a critical flop, I think that's interesting, because I find I would be shocked if The Last of Us Part 2 came out to 8s like across the board or 7s across the board, and that's kind of what I'm talking about when I think of Last of Us Part 2 flopping critically. Like,
Sure.
I think like 8s will probably be it flopping critically, given what we expect from The Last of Us.
Based on what this game is, yeah.
Based on what the game is, I find it more likely that the game comes out and is like is divisive, right? Like it might be a Death Stranding situation of it comes out and it gets a 10 from GameSpot, a 9 from IGN, and a 7 from Game Informer or 7 from another site, right? I could see the split being like that because of story decisions. Like when we're talking about The Last of Us and what the game's going to come out and be, like, you know, the game's going to be polished. The game's going to look beautiful. You know, the game is going to have great presentation. Like there's some things that are, I think, givens about this game, right? Like I think the things that are really, really a mystery that can kind of go, not necessarily go either way, but the places where I can see the game either failing or rubbing people the wrong way are in either the story choices or maybe like there's like a gameplay mechanic that doesn't meld well with the rest of the game and that becomes a distraction or something like that. But I mean, the game's going to come out and it's going to be like at the very least good, right? We all expect it to come out and like be revolutionary or be like, you know, be it like 10s across the board, right? We kind of expect that because The Last of Us 1, but yeah, like I think this game flopping would be it being more divisive, if anything. And even that, like, I personally would be fine with, you know, if it came out like some people were like, this is incredible, and other people were like, this sucks, right? Because I think that makes for an interesting experience or an interesting game.
100%. You know, based on what I played of it, and when I came back from actually having time on the sticks, right, 2 hours with it, and I was like, I don't know how anything could beat this for Game of the Year. Like, I still stand by that impression of the 2 hours I had of it. What I find interesting is, I think from what I played of those 2 hours, combat, environment, control, everything is such a step above what it was in The Last of Us. And especially having just done the Nick's full playthrough of The Last of Us and getting to watch that game again, start to finish. Such a step up in presentation, everything. What I think will be interesting about it, and this is now based on just what I saw, what we've all seen in terms of trailers and stuff, is you remember when the second trailer, right, dropped with the woman who was getting hung and there was the knife and they were all circled up in like 5. And then I think they went into LA gameplay and it was super brutal, right? The blowback then was that this is too violent, you know what I mean? That it's when we
it's
talk
like
about
violent for violence sake.
Exactly. When we talk about the game getting, you know, mixed reviews because of story, I don't look at that based on any of the stuff I've had spoiled for me. I look at it based on the fact that people were worried about this being another fridging, you know what I mean? They're just going to fridge this character for Ellie.
Them falling into tropes.
Exactly. We're going to have this trope here. It's just going to be fucking violent as all hell, which of course, like you saw when it all happened and that narrative started spinning up and people started, you know, filing criticism comments based on what they were seeing. Neil was very much like, you know, in Hallie too, right? Of this is a story of revenge, but like there's stuff going on here. We just don't want to go into it. Like we're aware of those tropes and we're aware, but you know, we can't say what we're doing kind of thing. I feel if the game comes out and the narrative through line through the 20 hours, I don't know how long Last of Us Part 2 is supposed to be, through it is that those things, that's where I see it getting knocked down. Right. Where it's better gameplay. It's better this, it's better that, but it is still this trope. It is still this thing. It is a game that I wanted to put down the controller because I didn't want to do that. I think those are the kind of think piece reviews you'd get on it, right? Where it would be it's beautiful and it controls really well and great acting, but like I don't want to play this because it is so bleak. It is so dark. And I don't know how that's going to net out in the end.
Yeah. God, I can't wait to get this game.
Dude, I can't either.
We're like 5 weeks away at this point, or maybe 6 weeks, because it comes out the June 19th. And so we're getting there. We're getting there. And we're gonna get them review copies at some point beforehand. Some point. It's
gold now. I mean, you know what I mean? If Herman answers us about the mac and cheese, maybe I could get that. I can lay in about that too. Here's what I got from you so far. Because Herman Hulse has not responded on the mac and cheese front. Because I tweeted at Herman Hulse, is there mac and cheese in Amsterdam? If so, is it a popular dish? And so then Marley Nito responded. He's talking about Europe in general, though. Sander Van Vliet says we have it in the southern of Netherlands, so I assume Amsterdam has it as well. Though we add ham to the dish. Now, that goes back to Marley's thing, who said, not really. In Europe, we call it carbonara, which is pasta with creamy cheese sauce and ham or pancetta bits in it. So delicious. To which I said, I've heard of it and linked the Cooking with Greggy carbonara, as if I don't know what the fuck carbonara is. You know what I mean? And then he tried to cover his tracks and say, ha, 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 I love that episode. Fuck off, Marley. All right? You're in the timeout corner right now.
Does that count as mac and cheese?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's noodles and cheese. That's not mac and cheese, though, right? Because what?
I mean, if it's noodles, then no. Like mac is.
Well, it's macaroni. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You can use, if you're making carbonara, you could use the elbow macaroni, I guess, but it doesn't strike me as the same thing. That's carbonara. That's a different thing.
Before I get into the story or to item number 2, I was actually going to ask, like, where do you think Cory Barlog stands up in this mac and cheese debate?
I don't think he stands up at all. You know what I mean?
No?
From what I understand, his wife does all the work at the house. So I'm sure she does that while he has his feet up on the thing. He drinks another beer, smokes another cigarette, ignores his kid.
I heard she wrote God of War.
I heard so too, and he didn't get credit for it, and that's sad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's upsetting.
To see
honestly,
Cory do that. You know what I mean? You hate
Number 2, Greg. Dreams dropped a demo, but where does the game go from here? I'm pulling this from a PS blog post. They posted this on May 1st. This is from Abby Hepp, the communications manager at Media Molecule. They write, starting today, a Dreams demo is available on the PlayStation Store. The demo includes access to a rotating playlist of some of our favorite creations in Dreams, including the Ornithologist Private Collection, Ruckus, Kubrick, which I highly recommend. Kubrick's pretty fun. Player Piano Player, Art Therapy, and Great Job Human. The demo also includes the first 20 minutes or so of the Media Molecule musical narrative adventure, Art Dream, and all the information you need about the create mode. If you've been browsing our Dreams companion site, indreams.me, you'll also be able to add Dreams you see to your play later queue and should be able to buy the full game. They'll be waiting for you in Dream Surfing, ready to play. If you choose to purchase the full version of the game, you'll be able to pick up Art Dream where you left off. You also get access to all the amazing things Dreams has to offer, creative tutorials and classes to teach you digital creation, community jams to get you in the creative spirit, and thousands of games from community members around or across the world, with new ones every day. Greg, we've talked about this quite a bit of like, how do you market Dreams?
Support Dreams, do something for Dreams.
Yeah, like we've even talked about like making Dreams free to play for next gen, all these different things. They've just put out a demo, which is pretty interesting.
Yep.
Where are we at with Dreams? I know we talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, but we never really made it like official. Where are we at with Dreams, and where do like official in terms of like making an actual item, like making like a number like topic to talk about?
Gotcha.
Where are we at with Dreams, and where do we think Dreams needs to go from here? That's the main question I have for you.
Well, I applaud this demo number 1. You know what I mean? Like, this is a great step. I'm glad they did this. The thing I want to see them do is the thing they only do occasionally, and push that on the other side, hit that button that will push the Dreams demo to people's PlayStation 4. Remember, if you haven't opted out of the marketing, I forget if on your PlayStation profile, if you haven't opted out of the marketing stuff and they hit the button, they can auto install stuff. Like back in the day, remember when they did the Shadow of the Colossus remaster, right? Kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong. I'll throw it open for this. They did it where they would install it to your PlayStation. And then if you clicked on it, be like, oh, you don't own this game. Do you want to buy it? I get it for the spring summer sales, like those that just popped up. Like
the
stuff.
The icon on your home screen.
Right. So
do they install that stuff, or is it just like, because I always thought it was just they added
not
the
icon. Store stuff, the game stuff, yeah. Where when Shadow did, again, kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong, unless I'm totally mistaken, is that if you clicked on it, it would just be like, hey, you don't own this game, do you want to buy it? It was like a push, and so I think that was so kind of across the line scummy that they stopped doing that. But for a demo, why not? Like if you've opted in and you have the ability to auto download stuff, I'd love that for a number of different things. If they had just a demo sign up, like do you want to be able to get free downloaded demos of certain, whatever games? I guess that's kind of complicated, but like once a week we give you a demo or whatever it would have been. Like that'd be a brilliant thing to do. So anyways, glad they did this. They at least need to push it to, if not an auto download of it, push it like you did the spring summer sale. And just be like Dreams, right there on my cross media or whatever live area, Dreams demo available. Click here to get, and that'd be rad. Because I think this is, as usual, great news. And the PlayStation blog is wonderful, and we love it, and we love the blogcast. It just doesn't reach as many people, obviously, as the PlayStation does. So it'd be better, I think, if it was as soon as I turn on my PlayStation, it was shouting at me right Dreams there, like the spring sale does. Not the live area. Like I got to go through and see what fucking trophies drop popped or whatever. You know what I mean? Or what screenshots got shared here.
Do you do that often? Do you see it?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is I never fucking do that. But I see people thumbs upping my content. So I know what happened.
You're talking about like the what's? Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like what's new on PlayStation, but like Oh, is it
Just
what's
know-
new? Yeah.
Yeah, right. What's good?
What's good PlayStation?
Yeah, I want to see it just surfaced as much as possible so people can get to it. Where we're at with Dreams, I think it's been interesting to see how fast, not it's faded to crickets, but it's how fast that conversation came and went. And I think it isn't surprising, number one, with the onslaught of games we just had, right? Where it was Final Fantasy and Resident Evil, and the list goes on. Number two, the fact that there was a pandemic right on top of it as well. Like, Dreams for a second there came out, and it was the hotness, and a whole bunch of people were playing it and sharing stuff. And every night I was seeing new stuff shared and this, that, and the other. And I was having a great time. I was curating, I was working on stuff. But then the games started coming, and then life as we know it kind of ended. And then it's just, I see it on my cross media bar when I turn on, but it's that thing for me where I'm turning it on, wanting to jump into a game and play something, and I usually have a taste for what I want to play. Whereas Dreams is more of that, let's turn it on and see what's happening. Where's the community at? What's going
stream
on?
surf.
It's definitely not that I want to turn it on and do any more work, right? I'm exhausted and frayed at the end of the day, right? Both emotionally and mentally. So it's like, I'm not in the mood to jump in and work on the creation that I want to make, but that's
how's your dream project going? Because weren't you game directing?
Yeah, no, it's gone really well. Like, I legitimately, the holdup now is 100% me. Like, I got the asset I wanted from a very talented creator. I plan on still making this eventually. A very talented creator. And then now it's about getting in and recording a whole bunch of dialogue to put into the thing to have it ready to go. But then, I got to do backgrounds. I got to do this thing. And it's just that it's the same reason I am not a game developer, right? Or whatever. And it's what I talk about all the time with, like, creating a comic book or creating a children's book, like I've talked about before on Kind of Funny podcast, right? Of like, creation isn't my passion. And so at the end of the day, when I finally have free time, right, and it is, I can do whatever I want, I'm not in the mood to just sit at the computer and make VO. I'm not in the mood to go into Dreams and tinker with what I want the background to look like. I'm more in the mood to actually play something and go achieve something or get lost in a world or do this, the activity we all do when we play video games. And so when we were talking about this, we did surface level talk about this on either Gamescast or Games Daily with Tim, though, but Tim was there specifically. And I was just like, and I was talking similar to this of like how crazy the times are right now. And Tim said something very powerful where he's like, but if now isn't the time for Dreams, now that we're all in our houses, now that we're all playing more games than ever, what is the time for Dreams? And I didn't have an answer for that. Like, you know what I mean? Of this, like, that's a great point of, if this is the time where we're all at home, we all are starting to tackle our backlogs, right? Like, I downloaded Odyssey again, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I downloaded Assassin's Creed Origins, and then I downloaded Days Gone. I'm like, Odyssey and Days Gone, I need to platinum, period. Odyssey, I didn't do episodes 2 and 3 of the DLC, maybe episode 3 of the DLC, so I should tweak that. Origins, I never played. It's like, I'm downloading all this stuff to play, but then I'm looking at Dreams and going, like, I don't feel like creating. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I feel like. Not to mention that I also don't want to turn on Dreams and hop around 15 creations before I find 3 that I really dig. Does that make sense? Where are you at with it?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't touched Dreams since, like, probably the last time I talked about Dreams on the show. And it is for the reason of, there have been a bunch of games that have come out. There have been other games that have like demanded my attention. Last week we talked about JRPGs that people should check out on PlayStation, right? And I picked one of those up, and I've been playing a little bit of that. And I think the thing for me in Dreams right now is that I don't feel a reason to come back, because the experience that I was having with Dreams wasn't necessarily creating. Like, it wasn't creating at all, not even necessarily. Like, I was not creating in Dreams. I was just playing Dreams, and I was just like scrolling through the dream surfing stuff and like picking out things to play. And I think for me that is still a great experience, right? In theory, like, if I do want to play something that is 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours long, like, I would, like, I have that thirst and hunger to pick up Dreams in that scenario, but I've not really had a place where I'm in that scenario lately, because I have other games to play.
Exactly, right.
Yeah. And so, like, when we have the discussion about, like, what does Dreams need to do going forward, right? Like, they just put out a demo, which is great. Like, I don't know, at least for the remainder of the PS4 generation, I don't know what big moves you make for Dreams, right? I don't know if you put out another, like, Arts Dream, or like another, like, big media molecule.
I think you do that, and you do what you're talking about earlier, which I know is crazy, but like, again, it's like, what do you want out of this? We always talk about it. What do you want out of this game? What is their hope? Shu talked about it being a 10-year game. I think the next thing you do or need to do, right, is do something crazy. And it is Tim Schafer's dream. It is, and this is crazy, Hideo Kojima's dream. It is that you get these big players in there that have a name, with all due respect, bigger than Dreams, or at least bigger in a different sense to different people. Kojima, obviously, fucking god. I guess Tim Schafer, who's one of our gods that we love it dearly. I don't know if he's bigger than Dreams to certain people. I'm sure other people are like, who the fuck's Tim Schafer? I'm saying, though, you get in the name to get people excited to turn it back on, to go look at it and see that dream. Right now, you know what I mean? Like, every time we start talking about it, I eventually throw up in Dreams and see how many people are online and what's popping on the front page, right? And so, like, throwing it open right now, there's 3,700 people online right now, which is great. And you wonder if that has something to do with the demo, right? Because we've talked about it, where that number usually used to be around 3 when we'd be doing this. We saw it go to 2. We dropped off for a while, came back, it was 17. And so it is, tossing it back on though and looking at it, and like, I have a whole bunch of stuff in my play later queue, right? But even Media Molecules picks up here, they're all different. Like, what's worth jumping into? What's worth going in and playing right now? Like, it's it's not like, oh my god, woe is me, or how it's so hard to find stuff to do in Dreams. There's a lot of great stuff, but it's just a specific mood. And right now, I'm not in that
very much
mood.
is a mood.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and for me, if I was in PlayStation's shoes, yes, I would love to do like the Tim Schafer, like Hideo Kojima, or get like creators that we know and love, get like Toby Fox, who did Undertale, or get Yoko Taro, or like get whoever, right, is a name, right, to make Dreams for the game. I also think that, like, at a certain point, we're just like, all right, cool, we got the game released. Like, that was our big goal this year. All right, next year, our goal is PS5, and figuring out, like, what is the big Dreams push for PS5, whether it is, and at this point, I don't imagine it's like automatically install Dreams in every PS5, even though I would love that, even though I think that would breathe all the life that I think Dreams needs in order to thrive and be successful over the course of a generation, right? It's just have it on PS5s ready to go. And it'd be a great, like, I want to say it'd be a great seller for the PS5, but I think it'd just be a great, like, bullet point on that, like,
totally.
Oh yeah, with a PS5 you get this, this, and this. Also you get Dreams free. Like, I think that'd be a great bullet point to add there. But I'm not at the point where I'm convinced that Sony PlayStation wants to do that, or even I don't even know if Media Molecule would want to do that or not. Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the question of, and I know this is what we come back to all the time on this show, in particular so far, what is the definition of success, and what is PlayStation looking for out of it? What is a Media Molecule looking out of it? And even for us, right, where it's like, I keep saying I'm not in the mood for that. I guarantee I will be at some point. At some point, I am going to turn on Dreams, and it's going to be, okay, now I'm back in for a week and a half, 2 weeks of checking in nightly, doing these different things, tweaking these different things, following these people, seeing what their creations are. I see, like, the kind of funny level coming along in Dreams and people doing stuff with that. That's awesome. Like, there's legs to that game. So it's not, I don't think about necessarily how many you're concurrently on right now, as much as how many people come back and forth. Not to mention monetization, where we've talked about before, where, Little Big Planet was great about, hey, here's a DC Comics pack. There's a whole bunch of levels and characters and stuff like that. Like, is that going to happen in Dreams? Are we going to have the ability to have these levels pack drop and go on and jump in and be like, okay, cool, it is whatever. It is based on this movie. It is based on this game. It is this creator. There's a reason to come back and play that certain thing. Because this is back to what we're talking about again of in the beginning with Dreams. And I'm talking about the beginning when we first started PS I Love You again and started talking about Dreams, where it was, who's going to be the first person to make a dream and then get PR for it? Like, have a PR person who's working on promote their dream inside of Dreams. Because right now it's like, how many barriers of entry to it is, where it's like, cool, I see a funny little video of a dream on my thing, and it's like, that's neat. I don't feel like booting it up and turning it on and doing the thing and going, like, no, I see it right there. Like, how do you who's going to make the first dream that is a must play, where you're like, fuck, everybody's got to turn this thing on right now and go play this game? Because I played dozens of games that are awesome. You did too, and you've been so good at uplifting them here and showing them to people. But what does that look like in a longer term thing? And I'm sure that there's Dream podcasts out there and Dream Twitchers out there that are doing all sorts of stuff, let alone all the creators. Like, there's a vibrant Media Molecule community. There always has been. I think Dreams is, the most dedicated audience they've had. And so there's definitely people out there who are dreamers and killing it and crushing it. And, Abby and Tom do such a great job communicating with that community and keeping them going, Media Molecule in general, having those conversations. And I think it's going to be interesting to see it evolve, and what will bring people back, what will bring us back, what will make us start turning it on every night again.
Greg, before we get into our third and final item here,
I added a fourth.
Kaz Hirai, do you think he would make great mac and cheese?
Kaz? No, I don't think he would. He doesn't seem like
No?
he's got the stomach for it. But
Doesn't seem like he has the chops.
Kevin Coelho, if you want to look at your Slack, I did Slack you a link here. It's Fred Steaks is who we've been talking about. They are in fact black. The one and only Gio Corsi texted me back during the show. He's in a meeting, that's why I can't take the call. They are called Fred Steaks, and they are marinated dark blue/black. So that's why I was confused.
Okay.
Dark blue/black. They come from a butcher in Stanford. They are excellent. So there you go. We solved that mystery.
Awesome.
Now, that doesn't speak to how Gio's mac and cheese game would compare to Adam Boyes compared to Sean Layden, but we have one of the things solved here. And I don't know if you heard.
3.
This is not the final item on the Roper report or the X's and O's. I added one that is
did you
sad
add one?
and important.
Gotcha. All right. Well, our third item on the X's and O's. Folks aren't happy about this month's PS Plus games, Greg.
Shocking. People on the
came
internet
out-
are upset.
People on the internet are very upset. PlayStation came out and announced recently that City Skylines and the PS4 edition and Farming Simulator 2019 are May's PS Plus games. If you look at the PS Plus post and if you look at YouTube comments and all these things, people are not happy. People are very upset about this month's PS Plus games. Greg, I don't know if you've been following this at all or if you have any thoughts on this.
I'll have you know I follow everything PlayStation related, and I have been following this. And PlayStation Plus, man, what a no-win situation. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, as PlayStation as they do this. This reminds me, do you remember when they switched out the games? When people got so angry back in what is this? This is last year, February 2007.
Yes.
I'm on the sixthaccess.com where Jim Hargreaves is like, surprise, Sony has swapped one of July's PlayStation Plus games. Well, here's something that doesn't happen very often. Right before unleashing July's pair of free PlayStation Plus games, Sony has decided to swap one out. Instead of getting Pro Evolution Soccer 2019, subscribers will receive a copy of last year's Detroit Become Human, the futuristic thriller from Heavy Rain studio Quantic Dream. Meanwhile, arcade racer Horizon Chase Turbo will remain the second free PlayStation Plus game. So there's such outcry about there being a PEZ included alongside Horizon Chase that they were able to get changed there, but not right now for City Skylines / Farming Simulator. I agree. It's not here's the thing.
It's not
City
a good
Skylines
month,
is great.
for sure.
City Skylines is a great game. Like,
What about
for
the
real.
PS4 version? Because apparently, according to Kevin, the PS4 version is not great.
Oh, Kevin, is that true? I never tinkered around with it much.
Kevin's in the other room, I bet.
Kevin, he's probably walking his
Kevin.
dog. Kevin.
Sorry, I was getting the dog an ice cube. Yeah, when I played it on the PS4, it was it ran like Garbo and also not fun to control.
Okay, well then, I can't talk about it at all then, because I was gonna say I know City Skylines people like, and I know it's been supported. Maybe it's been patched better. Here's long and short. Let's eliminate how it runs or whatever. Both City Skylines and Farming Simulator are niche games. Those speak to a very specific audience. And so to put them out into this general pool of games, not a great look. Because, you can get away, I think, with one niche game, right? Where you're like, hey, here's one game that you probably heard a group of people like. If it was just Farming Simulator, it was just City Skylines paired with a insert whatever, Days Gone for its year anniversary, which they wouldn't do, obviously. But something to that effect, right? Of like, here's a AAA, here's a AA, here's a more mainstream game paired with something that is meant for a very specific crowd. In the same way, I think for Horizon Chase Turbo Zero, whatever the hell it was, and PEZ, it's like, cool. I don't care about racers and I don't care about soccer. That doesn't work, right? When they're like, oh, we'll put Detroit in there, you're like, that makes way more sense. That, pivots to a direction that I think makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm with you. That it's definitely not a good month for PS Plus. I agree with. Well, I not that I agree with the outcry, but I agree with the sentiment that like these games are for very niche audiences. That said, I'm not necessarily like upset about it. Like I'm of the mind that you're allowed to like have a bad month of games, right? You're like nothing in the contract for PS Plus says that we can't have a flop every now and then. And like given the last few months of PS Plus, I'm like, dude, we just got Uncharted 4. Like, there are other games for us to play, and also they offer Journey and Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection for free, which I know people have gone for PS Plus already, but still, like, I don't think this PS Plus lineup is anywhere near the end of the world. That said, in light of this, I do want to talk about some excellent PS Plus games that you might have forgotten about. This last week, Tech Radar put out an article titled "Best PS Plus Free Games: Hidden Gems You May Have Forgotten Are in Your PS4 Library." And they did a whole long ass list article that has all the details and all those things. I don't want to go through the whole article per se, but I just want to go through a few PS Plus games that are in your library if you've had PS Plus and if you've been redeeming the games that you might have forgotten about.
If you didn't redeem them, you're fucked.
Yeah, if you didn't redeem them, then have fun paying for BioShock the Collection. But BioShock the Collection is the first one, right? Came out on PS Plus February 2020, and everybody knows BioShock. BioShock is fun. Definitely one that I
great.
BioShock Infinite, also super excellent. Amazing game. Shadow Colossus came out in March 2020 on PS Plus. It's another one.
That's a banger right there.
Oh yeah, I was actually having a conversation about Shadow Colossus today because my friend Moises has been playing it for the first time, and Moises, me and him used to go back and forth because he played the beginning of Shadow Colossus and he wasn't really feeling it. I don't think he liked the controls. Yeah. And Shadow Colossus is one of my favorite games of all time. And he just went back and finished it. He texted me the other day and he was like, "Hey man, I just played the fifth Colossus, Avion, who's the flying, he flies over the water, if you're familiar with Shadow Colossus." And he was like, "Man, that was incredible." And I was like, "Man, I'm trying to tell you, this game is great." And he just finished it today, and he was like, "I get it now. I understand why this is one of your favorite games because that was an incredible experience." So I highly recommend the PS4 version of Shadow Colossus, which you probably have on PS Plus. It's incredible if you haven't played it yet. They also include Neo here, which was on PS Plus November 2019. They write, "A more loot-driven alternative to the Souls games developed by Ninja Gaiden creators at Team Ninja. Neo is well worth checking out to see if the third-person melee combat grabs you. Expect an immense challenge. If you manage to get into this one, it's got 3 DLC packs that can usually be found at a discount in a PSN sale, as well as a full sequel." So there you go. Last of Us Remastered, of course, was on PS Plus. Came out in October on PS Plus.
Yeah, Tim
October
Gettys
2019.
trying to ask me for a code for it.
Wait, who's trying to ask you for
Tim
for a
Gettys.
code?
He's getting all hype watching Nick play stuff. He's
Does
like,
he not
"Can you give me a
own
code?" I'm like,
the
"Man,
Last of Us
come
Remastered?
on. Come on. At this point, just go get it." It's
What is he
$20.
doing? What is? How does he not own it?
Have you met Tim? He wants to play everything on his Xbox because it's got 4K, whatever the hell. And then he just sits there and he just gets spirits in his fucking Smash Brothers. That's all he does.
This is a good one. What Remains of Edith Finch was on PS Plus May 2019. Greg, did you ever play What Remains of Edith Finch?
I sure did, buddy.
Yeah, I did too.
Giant Sparrow game ain't gonna come out and have it pass me by.
That game is absolutely incredible. First-person narrative game, walking sim, as some may say. Where you're basically going to this house and trying to put together. It's similar to Gone Home in the sense that you're exploring a house, but there are some more. I don't want to say supernatural, but there are weirder elements to it that make it interesting. Soma from December 2018 is another one. Yakuza, Kiwami, Rayman Legends, Bloodborne, March 2018 was out on PS Plus. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain was on PS Plus October 2017. And I'm gonna stop there because Greg, for this week's Best Friends Talk Back. That's right. That's the segment where we ask you a question and you let us know your answers. I actually do want to ask the question: what's the previous PS Plus game that's worth checking out?
Okay.
And those could be, and I don't want to read all the PS Plus games. I don't want to take away options from people. But yeah, it could be something that is high key, right? Something that we may all know about, Rocket League, something like that, or it could be something that's lower key that we may not have heard of that was on PS Plus. So let us know. You can write in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames in that the questions forum for PS Plus and give us your answer.
So Blessing, based on what we've just read, some of these games, you're going to get more of them here, but looking specifically at this month's lineup and it being weak, do you think PlayStation Plus is out of gas? Do you think it's not worth the money anymore?
I think it's just an off month because you imagine there are so many options for games you can include on PS Plus, and even in terms of indie games, right? I'm sure you could, and I don't know what those conversations are like between PlayStation and indie devs as far as getting a game on PS Plus, what that deal is like, and whether or not indie developers are likely to agree to it or not. But I imagine you can hit up Supergiant, the ones that did Pyre and Transistor and all that, all that stuff, right? I don't think Pyre's been on PS Plus. That'd be a pull. Jazzpunk, I don't think it's been on PS Plus. I think that'd be a pull. Like, I forget if Sonic Mania was on PS Plus or not. I feel like Sonic Mania.
No, because remember it wasn't Sonic Mania on the Xbox, and then we got Sonic Generations, or the one you hated, and it was a bad deal.
Xbox got Sonic Generations. We got Sonic Forces.
Okay.
But I do know that I do own Sonic Mania on my PlayStation, which makes me think it was a PS Plus game because I bought Sonic Mania on Switch. So maybe
it's and I'd also like this, for you people who are going to write in about your previous PlayStation Plus, I'm going to add another question to the questionnaire after the show and be like, why do you subscribe to PlayStation Plus? Do you subscribe to it for the games and / discounts, or do you subscribe to play multiplayer online? Like, I feel like that's the interesting trade-off. When PlayStation Plus started, I remember, Colin and I doing the tabulation of what we got for free or discounted and doing the addition. And, really quickly, we got more stuff we got more stuff for free out of it than we put into it in terms of money. You know what I mean?
Yes, because this month alone, right? This month alone is an $80 value for the PS Plus games, right? And PS Plus for the year is like $60.
$60 for 12 months, yeah. And even so, right now, I'm on the PlayStation Store online, right? And it's like, we think about the free games, right? But then there's also the ability to play online. But there's there's an exclusive Final Fantasy VII Remake Cloud theme. There's a Fortnite Celebration pack that's free. There's an add-on for Path of Exiles, Call of Duty Warzone. Then there's Paradiso Island Carnival pack. Okay. And then there's discounts on Genesis Legendary Weapons pack, Genesis Elvira Witchwood pack, Genesis Neo Doomsday pack. And I think those discounts, like, they add up early on being such a big deal and us using. And I can't remember the last time that, I guess what happens now is I'll buy something on PlayStation, and if I see it's PlayStation Plus discount, it's like, oh, that's cool. Whatever. Like, I don't think about it as like part of this giant thing. Kevin, but I would think that so many people spend the $60 just to be able to play online with their friends and not worry about it and have cloud saves. Cloud saves for me still is why it's like invaluable.
I'm with you there as far as like, I think first and foremost, when I play PS Plus, when I play PS Plus, when I pay for PS Plus, right? The idea is, oh yeah, I'm doing this so I can play games online, and then cloud saves. And then also I should mention, Kevin DM'd me, let me know Sonic Mania was free for PS Plus in June. It doesn't say the year, but June 2019 it looks like, with Borderlands: The Handsome Jack collection.
Nice.
So there you go. Thank you, Kevin. But yeah, like I can't remember the last time I played a PS Plus game.
Yeah,
like
I've redeemed them for sure. You know what I mean?
Redeemed them
when Nathan Drake collection came around. I was like, oh, you know what? I'd lent the disc I'd gotten for review or whatever. I'd given to Tim, and I think he gave it to Colonel or whatever, and so I never got it back. But I did it there and like something else. Like I've used them, but
which makes me wonder, like, what is the average experience with PS Plus, right? Like how often do people play the PS Plus games? Because I feel like earlier in the generation, it's way more common than at this point in the generation, where you've probably redeemed so many games through PS Plus, where it's like, dude, you just got Uncharted 4 and Neo and all these different things. Like, do you have the time to play these games every single month? You must have a backlog at this point of PS Plus games to go back to. Yeah, to where you like, why would you be keeping up month to month at this point?
Okay, I'll make a note of all this.
Are we doing like a survey? What's happening?
I'm gonna put it up on the patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. When you click on when you click on the thing to give us your PSN name for approval, your question, I can toss in all sorts of different things there, and I do.
Perfect. Story number 4 is one directly from you, Greg.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm gonna let you take the lead.
Okay, everybody, I got bad news for you. All right, this is you're gonna think it's not a big deal, but this is the canary in the coal mine. I think it was last week on Kind of Funny Games Daily. Gary Wood was like, when are they going to stop making Vita games? I'm like, they'll never stop making Vita games. Somebody will always make Vita games. And technically somebody always will, but we have bad news coming. This is from Radalika Games over on Twitter. All right. It's a multi-part tweet that I put into one. Well, we have some sad news today. Starting August, Peggy, P-E-G-I, will change their fees due to PS4 adopting the IARC system. The, quote, casual game tier will be removed, meaning the cost for new PlayStation Vita title releases will go from €250 to €1,450, 1,450 euros. Parentheses, PS Vita won't be a part of IARC. This change will make way more expensive to make PS Vita versions as before. We only had to pay about, or a little bit. If you can't tell from the broken English, there's a bunch of, but about 250 euros for one game, Guard Duty. And we cover that with the physical edition. From now on, it would be that for all games, which most probably will make all PS Vita versions lose money. We're unsure what we will do now on what we will do from now on, as QA is still closed without a reopening time. So maybe by the time it reopens, we could be in autumn time or winter time. Very sad news today indeed. Now, again, broken English there, using a lot of acronyms I don't fully understand. But the long and short of this is that they've changed the way they're classifying video games. Apparently, Vita games used to be classified as casual tier games in this IARC system, right? Now that's changing, and Peggy's changing the way, basically, the ratings board in Europe, right, is changing the cost to rate a PlayStation Vita game, which will now make probably PlayStation Vita games not worth the money it would cost to get them rated on that platform. They're going, apparently, according to Adeoye Games, it's going from 250 euros to 1,450 euros, meaning that's why would you spend that discrepancy if you're not going to be able to break even or even make money on it? So it looks like that's a big deal. Adeoye, of course, the ones who put out all the cheap platinums I really, really love. So super sad, Blessing. And it's very sad. Canary in the coal mine for what's going on with Vita, and I won't have you forget about it as you try to today.
When you said canary in the coal mine, I started laughing because I thought the news was just that Adeoye is not making Vita games anymore.
Oh no, but, never.
Yeah, with everything else included here, right? It seems like Vita games in general there's less incentive to make them, which is unfortunate. I have my Vita sitting right here, by the way.
What have you been playing on it?
I've been remote playing Persona 5 Royal.
Oh, how's that working out for you? You laying in bed playing?
What was that?
You laying in bed playing?
I am laying in bed playing. Yeah. It's hit or miss. Like, I don't know what it is, but like half the time I try to connect to my PS4, it just doesn't work. For some reason, I get like an error thing, and then like at certain times I can make it work, but then like it gets choppy about like 15 minutes in and all this stuff. And so it's not ideal, but Persona is a game that I feel like I'm in, like having that game on a screen that can just hold, and look down at, as opposed to like playing on my TV. Like it feels perfect to play that way. In a way that it kind of hurts my heart that the game isn't on any mobile or handheld device. I'm looking at you, the Switch.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Or you're looking at PlayStation for a Vita too.
I mean, that too. I would for sure play Persona 5 Royal on a Vita too, all day, every day.
Hell yeah.
Greg, that's it for X's and O's.
That is the end of X's and O's. So let me tell you about our sponsor. JK, it's just youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Remember, you should go over there and subscribe. Did you know that youtube.com/kindoffunny has more YouTube subscribers than youtube.com/kindoffunnygames? That's fucked up. You're going to tell me you care more about Andy and fucking Nick smelling each other's farts on KFAF than you do us talking about video games? I don't buy it. I know we're more successful. You just listen to us on a podcast. So what I'm asking you to do is simple. Put on your emergency brake right now in the middle of the street. Open up your YouTube app and subscribe to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. I don't give a shit if you're watching the videos. Just go there and subscribe. Right, Blessing?
Right.
Blessing, now it's time for What You've Been Playing, where we catch up with each other in terms of what have we been gaming? You know what I mean? Where have we been experiencing the Vita games, as the kids say, throughout this here week? Blessing, I won't lie, my list is kind of short because I'm still addicted to Predator Hunting Grounds.
I mean, man, do you, man, have a good time, do your thing. I gotta respect it.
We did the review, of course, last week, and of course for FTC clarity and all that jazz. Remember, we're doing sponsored streams with the Predator Hunting Grounds, we're doing Ilphonic sponsored us to do streams of Predator Hunting Grounds, and I can tell you, I'm playing way more than enough to tell you it's not a sponsorship. Not that you think that's what I would do it for, because you know me, you listen to the show, and I wouldn't fucking do that. I digress. I'm level 74 right now in Predator.
Jesus.
Having a great time. It started, if you remember, when people were like, "Oh, you're gonna platinum this one, Greg?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. There's a lot of trophies in there. You got to kill a lot of things. You got to get a bunch of stuff." I'm still not of the intention that I'm going to platinum it anytime soon, but I don't see us stopping this game. Nick is still super into it. I'm still super into it. He still sends me the funny texts that the the Predator started COVID. We should go get him. The Predator's out there. Somebody's got to stop him. For 2 hours a night, you can kill a Predator. Like, I thought when I looked at the trophy listing of, the trophies here, that getting the trophy for hitting level 100, right, would be like take me a long time, be kind of ludicrous. Here we are, you know what I mean? Not that I'm going to get it tomorrow night or anything, but I'm not that far off from
You're going to hit it naturally.
Hunting Grounds Master, right? And so when you say that, you start looking through the other trophies, and it's like, well, yeah, you know, it's like, you know, as Predator, gather 100 full trophies from the fire team bodies, which is the full blown ending kill or whatever, or like the long kill. I'm definitely.
Oh man,
I'm probably in double digits there. I mean, I've definitely done at least 10, but I mean, I'm not close to 100. That's something.
See, that seems like the one that'll like get you.
But see, here's the thing. Hear me out. Again, this is not Greg Miller saying he's going to platinum Predator. We know how this goes. If I say it, it won't happen, and I'm a joke. If we just keep playing it though and chipping away at it, if we eventually get down to, hey, all right, cool, whatever, you can do this, then we could just cheese the system, and I could always farm them if it gets down to. I have 2 or 3 trophies left, and it's, you know, I'm just glancing, claim 1,000 fire team members. Those are any claims, so not the long one, just the short one. If we were doing that and it was just a boosting thing, right, where I had, I don't even know, five best friends that I was just bullshitting around it with, and I was just out there killing them, you could clean up. But again, I don't know if you'd have to, because if I'm actually going to play the game for a long time and we don't stop, if you know, I mean, what are they doing for DLC? What are they doing for future updates? You know, I don't think it's going to be the same intensity we've had. You know, we were talking about in the review, right, where while we were playing it over the weekend, I think my fever broke, not to where I wasn't like insatiable that I needed to play it. But when I get that text from Nick and I hit you up and I hit up Andy and I start going down the line to try to assemble a team, I'm stoked to play. Like I'm ready to play more. I want to get back out there.
When we talk about 100 trophies though, like I think it comes back to like how often do you play as Predator, and then how often do you get the long kill?
Yep. Yeah, I know. I usually save the long kill for my last kill. You know what I mean? So like that's the thing. But again, if it's like a fine wine, if this ages, if this, you know what I mean? If the trophy, if you know, whatever, I would have backwards compatibility with PlayStation 5, right? So I'll pop that in there. I'll still be playing. I don't know why I'm popping a disc in. It's a download. That doesn't make any sense. But you follow me on it. Of like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, basically, what I'm saying is I can't stop playing Predator still. I'm still very much in love with the Predator and addicted to Predator. And it's how obviously it helps that we have a team of kind of funny friends that actually want to go play. That, you know what I mean? That Nick's down. You're usually down, except for when you're making beats. We can convince Andy if he's not streaming with Bruce Green for some reason. Like, you know, we're actually playing this as a friend group in a time where we actually don't get to see each other. So like, it's fun being on shows with you, but it's, you know, nice to bullshit around and actually have a conversation too. That's not being recorded with Kevin listening in. But Kevin, that's the other question. Where the fuck have you been? When are you going to play some Predator with us? You know,
I've been handling stuff here, right? You know about that. But what, you want to play tonight?
Yeah, I do want to play.
I just set up my PS4.
Do you want to play in the stream with us tomorrow?
Well, let me play tonight and understand if I know all the buttons.
Sure,
sure. There's a lot of them.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, though. The stream tomorrow, Snowbike Mike's coming.
I'm in.
I know you would be. That's all it is. You say the magic words, Snow Bicycle Michael. Kevin comes.
Snow Bicycle Michael.
So Predator's great. I'm still playing that. I'm still unlocking a bunch of stuff, having a great time with it. And then the other one I played was my 104 PSN game rank. Remember, each and every week, ladies and gentlemen, Blessing and I pick a game from the PlayStation blog. The rules are simple. We can't pick the same game. We can't pick something that's AAA, and it shouldn't be something we were going to play anyway. Then we come back here, we talk about what we played, and we rank them in one ridiculous list. You can keep up at kindoffunny.com/104list. It's, of course, 104 PSN games ranked. I played Streets of Rage 4, which I think we're starting to see as we're getting deeper into the year and more really good games come to the PlayStation blog and come obviously to the PlayStation Store, us open up the definitions a little bit better on what we can play, right? Because Streets of Rage 4 has been one that I had seen at events. I know I liked Streets of Rage a lot on Genesis 1 and 2. I remember me and Mike Boylan playing through those and having a great time. But if it wasn't for this segment, I don't know if I would have actually played it this week, where I would have gotten a code or whatever, or I maybe would have, but I just don't see me turning it on when I was playing Predator. You know, I know it's a PlayStation podcast. I'm still very much playing Animal Crossing. Like, there's all these different things I'm playing that I don't know if I would have made time for Streets of Rage for here on its launch week. However, so happy I did. Like, what a beautiful little game. What a nice throwback to it. You know, in the same, if you never caught a PSN games ranked list here, like we don't play, well, necessarily, we don't play them all, you know, the way through or play 90 hours of them or whatever. I'm in stage 5 or whatever of Streets of Rage 4. I've been bouncing around the different characters. I've died a bunch and had to restart levels. It reminds me so much of Streets of Rage 1. And I don't know if it's that I'm more competent or I feel the game is a little more forgiving, but I feel like it's that nice balance where I'm not frustrated. For me, side-scrolling beat 'em ups, bless, are like a hit or miss thing. Where something like Final Fight, I loved. I remember reviewing the whatever collection at IGN. Like I said, Streets of Rage something I did, but like Scott Pilgrim, when that came to PS3, didn't click for me. I didn't like the way sprites lined up. I was having trouble playing it. I just didn't adore it the way everybody else did.
That soundtrack though.
Slapped. I'm not going to argue there.
It's a great soundtrack.
Come on now. Streets of Rage 4, I connected with no problem. I have that thing again where I'm not the side-scrolling beat 'em up guy, and again, I want to play other things that when I would die, I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm going to bounce. I didn't come back to be frustrated with it, you know what I mean? When I'd get a game over screen, which is why I don't think I advanced as fast as I could have if I really wanted to sit there. Because I saw Imran, of course, from Kind of Funny Games Daily, tweet that, he was blown away this weekend because he expected to play for a little bit and ended up beating it 3 times with different characters and being totally engrossed in it. I get that. It's just not where my headspace was at. So I thought the combat was fun. I think the difference between characters is fun. I love the art style to it. Back to what you were talking about, Bless, the soundtrack is fucking amazing. Like so good. Like that chiptune beat 'em up, like 80s vibe to it, of all that, or I guess 90s vibe to it. Really, really great game. Just really, really fun. I was impressed that they had online games working in there. I did a versus match against a rando. It didn't run as well as like the regular game did, but it ran fine enough. And then I didn't understand what I was doing, so I tried to go back into my story, and I was bringing that person with me. So like once you get paired up, you can fight each other. You can take that person to the game. There's boss rush mode and a bunch of other stuff. But as somebody who loved the original Streets of Rage, like I think this is a definitely a worthy sequel. When we did the review roundup, I know a lot of people were talking about it being just nostalgia for nostalgia's sake kind of thing in their reviews and not really pushing it forward. From what I've played, I agree with that. I mean, there's special moves and there's, you can go in and see like, how to do not only the special moves, the star moves, but then the other like abilities of like, back on the joystick and strike or whatever and holding. There's different strategies for it. I get all that, but the gameplay itself was enjoyable. I'm finding a rhythm with different characters. Like I like Cherry, I like Blaze more than I like Axel or stuff like that. Like there's a reason to play as them in terms of what their special is, what their swing back move is and stuff like that. So there's a lot to it. I think it's really, really good. And I think you'd have to come in, right? Because I definitely think it's the most complete game I've played. So immediately I'd say, and right now for me, of course, on the list right now, number 2 is Round Guard, which is the first of my games that are in there. Streets of Rage 4 is, I think, hands down a better game than Round Guard, which is still fun and great. It's still on my PlayStation, something I like to tinker with. But you'd have to tell me if you think what I'm saying sounds like it's a better game than Under Night In Birth EXE Late Control R, which is the number 1 right now.
I mean, it's hard to really say because they're very much apples and oranges, right? Like for people to remind people, right? Under Night In Birth is a fighting game series, and it's very much like an anime. Think Guilty Gear, but I'm sure if you know what I mean when I say think Guilty Gear, you probably already are familiar with Under Night In Birth. But it's similar to that, right? The anime-ish like 2D fighter where you're like doing all the quarter circles, doing all your special moves, and Under Night In Birth is very much like you're saying with Streets of Rage, right? Also very much a complete game, which is probably more than what we can say for like a lot of the games on this list. Totally. I don't know, man.
I'm fine with it going to number 2 because again, this isn't a game I'm telling you I can't stop playing or I can't put down. Like I lose and I put down, and am I going to go back to it and like actually put more into it? I don't think so. But again, I'm not the side-scrolling beat 'em up guy. The reason I like doing this list is picking something I normally wouldn't play, investing time in it, and coming back with an impression of it. Obviously, there's reviews all over the place for it.
Well, where I'm at with Under Night In Birth is that as the time I was talking about it on this show, I thought I was going to go back and play it a whole bunch more, and I found myself not going back and playing it. And not knowing if I'm going to go back and play it, mostly due to the fact that I don't really have people to play with. Like I have one other friend that I know that plays Under Night In Birth, and they've just been playing other games. Yeah. And so it's one of those things where I'm like in terms of going back or in terms of what I think of when I think of a fighting game and the purpose of a fighting game, right? Like, I think Under Night In Birth would be succeeding for me more if I was going back and playing it somewhat regularly, which I'm not doing. And then also like, in terms of Under Night In Birth as a complete package, right? All the stuff in terms of the core gameplay and the fighting and all that stuff, super excellent. But then there are other modes that I felt like could have been fleshed out more in terms of there's like a visual novel mode in there that I feel like they could have gone like way further with, and that's kind of where you're getting all the story for Under Night in-birth. Like it didn't seem to be localized very well. The way it was set up left much to be desired. I kind of wish that they threw fights in there, all these different things. And so the thing I'll say for you in Streets of Rage is that if you feel like Streets of Rage overall is a complete package, feels good like all around, then I'm fine with it going above Under Night in-birth.
Okay. I do. So I think that's where I'd toss it in there, right? In the YouTube chat, which I rarely go to, but of course, this is different pandemic and everything else. The one and only Demetrius Newell says, Ree and I beat Streets of Rage the other day, but definitely is tough on later levels. Lol. Yeah, that was the thing is, in this beginning part, getting my feet wet and learning, different moves, different grapples, how to counter all that stuff. I was like, man, I feel competent in this. And I'm like, I bet I'm going to get my ass kicked later on if I continue on. And I also didn't play it correctly because I didn't play with somebody else. And this is meant to be, a co-op thing. And I could easily partner up online, but I wanted to see it. And plus, Gary would have fucked me over by just never wanting to play at the time I wanted to play. He wants to play in his schedule, Mr. Hollywood. But yeah, I'm putting it number 1 then, Streets of Rage 4.
A new number 1. Look
there
at that.
Is. What a day. What a day.
Plus,
what have you been playing?
Oh man, I've been playing a lot of video games, Greg. So right now I am playing a triple threat of JRPGs. Okay. I'm playing Persona 5 Royal. I'm playing Trails of Cold Steel, which we recommended last week, and I'm also playing Final Fantasy VII, the original game from 1997.
Why not?
So to start off with Final Fantasy VII, because I don't have much to say about it, I'm still enjoying it. I've found myself slowing down since as I'm getting further into the game. And I think it's one of those things where, like, Midgar, I like blew through, right? Like I was in it, I was invested, all these things, and I think that is because I'm coming off of a remake, which is just Midgar in the original Final Fantasy VII, and so like I found myself enjoying that to the max. But as I've gotten past it, I've still been enjoying the game and I've still been really digging it. But it's been one of those things where I'm like, all right, so where do I go next? All right, okay, cool. I'm stuck here. I'm not sure exactly because the game really opens up. And then also, like, the thing I will say about Midgar is that having played Remake, I knew exactly where to go, which is like the very cool thing about going back and playing the original game is that, like, after I get done with a certain section, I'm like, okay, cool. I know exactly to go to Wall Market. Oh, I know that I need to go to Aerith's house, or I need to go here. Like, that stuff was very clear to me as I was playing those first 8 hours. And now that I'm way past that, the further and further I go, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of lost, and I just don't know which direction the game wants me to go. And so that's been a thing I've been kind of struggling with a bit, especially since it's an older game, which means it's not really pointing me in the direction, right? The signposting isn't as much as you get as a game that you play nowadays.
Not as much quote unquote hand holding.
Yeah, not as much hand holding, and so that's been an interesting thing to kind of struggle with. But the thing I will say is that there are some moments in the game that are really cool just visually. Like, they do a great job of utilizing, I don't even know if I can even call it FMV, because it seems like there are rendered cutscenes essentially that graphically, at least for the time, graphically look very good, and even now like look pretty. Like, I just came off of a location called Rocket Town, and essentially, like, there's a cutscene there when you like complete that section of a game that shows like basically like a structure falling, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that kind of thing. Okay. And the way that they in game like pan up to so like you can see the structure in like the rendered background. They pan up so you can see that structure. Then they kind of transition into like I'm gonna call it FMV, even though I'm sure that's not the right thing to call it.
The wrong terminology, yeah.
Yeah, they transition into that, and then they show the cutscene, and then transition out of it. The way they did it seemed really cool and really forward thinking in a way that I was very impressed with while playing the game. And so I want to give a shout out to that because that was really cool. I'm looking forward to playing more. Trails of Cold Steel, I've started. Okay. I'm about 3 hours in. And I'm enjoying it so far. It's really cool. The premise essentially is you're playing as Reen Schwarzer, and you're a new student at Thor's Academy. The game takes place in like the medievalish like fantasy kind of setting, and you're put into Class 7, which is like this class for like gifted students that was started the year that you're entering into the school. And the point of the class is supposed to like assemble like the super team of students essentially. When I say like super team, right, it's like supposed to be like very gifted students from very different backgrounds. And so like you have students from different like socioeconomic classes, students from different like countries, all these things. And it's a classroom of 9 students that are kind of assembled together that are dealing with like their differences as human beings, which I'm finding to be very interesting and compelling so far. In terms of gameplay setup, it's what people were telling me last week in the best friends talk back section, where it very much seems like a fusion of Persona and Final Fantasy. Like there's an orbit system. Well, they call it the orbit system. That is basically just the materia system, which I like a lot. And then also like in terms of the game's characters and setup and all this stuff, it seems like Persona in more of a fantasy setting where you are in a school, you are taking things day by day, you are traversing through dungeons, doing all these things, and like you're having dialogue between students to like build those relationships. I don't know if there's like a confidant or a social link element to the game at all. I'm not that far in, but so far I'm enjoying what I've gotten. I want to play more. The thing I will say is that I've also been playing Persona 5 Royal, which
you're never gonna get through them all this way.
That's what I was about to say is that when I started playing these 3 games at the same time, I knew at a certain point I was like, something's gonna give. I'm gonna have to focus on one of these games because either I'm never gonna finish any of these games, or I'm just gonna be distracted. And I found that Persona 5 Royal may for now have been the winner in terms of that inner conflict of choosing a game. Because now, for now,
the game you've already played.
A game I've already played, but Persona 5 Royal has introduced so here's the thing I'll say about Persona 5 Royal. I probably as of this time last week, I was probably like 2 hours into Persona 5 Royal. Now I'm about 20 something hours in, and I am having a blast. I loved Persona 5 when I played it originally. I had some complaints with it. I didn't love it as much as I loved Persona 4 Golden, mainly because I think I liked those characters better, and I liked I didn't necessarily love the dungeon setup in Persona 5 Royal as much as like the procedurally generated stuff in Persona 4. Like I just found that like the design dungeons, I felt like didn't allow for as much problem solving. And I think that's more of what I want in a dungeon is like feeling free to like problem solve and put things together in my own way. Like I feel like a lot of the solutions for puzzles in Persona 5 Royal, or not Royal, but Persona 5 felt very linear and very like, all right, go here, press X, go here, press X. Okay, cool. You did the thing. Now you're going on. Playing Persona 5 Royal, I find myself enjoying the game overall way more. And I think part of it is just the fact that it's hitting better the second time because I know what to expect. But then also a lot of the improvements that they have in Persona 5 Royal, I think are pretty cool in very subtle ways. Like they add like a lot of subtle battle mechanics that really add a lot of dynamic to how you are going about the dungeons and going about battles. Like you have each of the personas, like where I'm at in the game right now, right? Like each of your personas have like a special ability that wasn't like around in the original game. And so like it'll be a thing where, all right, when this persona uses ice moves, it's now cut down by half of like your SP, which is like your mana essentially. Yeah. And so like that's an example of one. Another example is like, okay, this persona over here does 20% more physical damage. And so just like unique abilities for each of your personas. Like that's a very small change, but it adds like a level of depth that I'm appreciating to now when I'm fusing personas and having to figure out like, all right, what do I want to keep from this persona? What is my strategy going forward? There's that. There's the fact that Baton Pass, which was a mechanic from the original game that was locked behind your confidant levels, is now available from the get-go for all your characters in this game. And what Baton Pass is essentially if you're in battle and you hit an opponent's weak point, say like my enemy is weak to ice. I use ice on that opponent. They then get staggered. I can then use Baton Pass to pass that. Because usually what would happen is I would get another turn if that happens. Sure. I can then pass that along to another teammate for like my second turn. Okay. And when that happens, they get like a boost in attack and all this stuff. Basically, that's available from the get-go as opposed to being locked behind a confidant level, which I think adds a lot more. It just makes combat more dynamic, and there are like a bunch of those small changes that I think add up and make the dungeons and combat way more interesting to me this time around than they were the first time around, which is really cool. The couple of new characters I met so far seem really cool. And overall, like just the story in general, like I'm enjoying the second time around. I think it's one of those things where like the first time, the story stuff I loved, absolutely enjoyed. I think playing it again through the lens of knowing where everything is going, I think is kind of uplifting everything more to where now I'm seeing like how they're connecting dots together, and now I'm seeing like where certain characters are starting out from, and enjoying it from that perspective. And so I'm having a blast with Persona 5 Royal. I'm like addicted to it now, which is something I wouldn't have expected, but I'm in it now. And so Persona 5 Royal has won the JRPG battle. I'll come back to Trails of Cold Steel.
Yeah, all right.
Probably afterwards, since they're so similar. I don't want to be comparing them back and forth too. And so it worked out in that way.
Awesome.
And then Greg.
Yeah.
I've been playing Telling Lies, which is my 104 PSN games ranked game.
One of my games of the year last year. Top 10.
And Greg, what a great game. Like,
fuck yeah.
I played Her Story and I enjoyed it. I ended up giving up about like halfway through Her Story because I was kind of frustrated, and I was like, I just want to know what's happening. Because if you're unfamiliar with the games, right? Like Her Story, you're basically going through this database of like old videos from like an interrogation, and like they're different, like the interrogation takes place across the course of like I don't know, probably like let's say like 9 different instances. And so you're going through video footage of a girl talking about like her accounts with like what was going on with a certain thing, right? And you're trying to put the pieces together by searching in keywords, doing all this cool investigative work. Telling Lies is basically that same thing. It's doing investigative work. You are looking up videos based on the keywords that are said in that video. But it's less so. It's not interrogation. It is. They are recorded private conversations that you're looking through across multiple characters, which I think adds a bigger element to what's going on in the story. Like it feels like you have much more to work with in terms of what you're putting together and moments that happen in the story and all these things. It's hard to really talk about it without spoiling it, but the thing I'll say is that the actual characters, I like them. I think the performances are good. Even though like the main dude, I feel like some of his performance is kind of like hit or miss at some points.
I liked him a lot.
I liked him at first, but then at a certain point I was like, man, let me not get into it. There's certain character moments with him where I'm like, all right, man. But overall, really enjoyed it. The thing I'll say is that like my one complaint with it is that you're getting, since you're looking up like recorded conversations, you're usually getting half a conversation at a time. And so like if I type in the word love, for example, which is like the first word that they actually have you look up love, right? If you click the first video, you get a guy talking on his webcam, talking to like, let's say like his wife and kid, right? They're having a conversation and you're like, all right, cool. You're only getting the dude's perspective. Like you're not getting the other side of the conversation.
Yeah.
And so you then have to like look up like what you think might be the keyword in the opposite end of the conversation and then watch that conversation. Really cool mechanic, but that then means I'm like listening to the same conversation twice and only hearing one side of it. I wish there was a way where I could in-game combine those two things. I know I can just probably open up like another like window or something, or like maybe I could have 2 versions of the game and make it work that way. But like
that's not how you want to do it though, I don't think.
Exactly. And so I wish they made it so that in game I could open up 2 windows. Maybe this is a thing and I just didn't figure it out. But if I could open up 2 windows and have them play at the same time so that I'm getting both sides of a conversation at the same time, that would be great. But aside from that, like I had a blast with this game. This is one of my for this section, right? The 104 PSN games ranked. One of my favorite games I've played from this section. I thought like the story moments were pretty compelling. I thought the arcs that you
somebody who played it on an iPad, so I could tap and touch and do all that stuff. How is it cumbersome searching the words, clicking through which word you want, finding the keywords?
Not at all. Like the one thing that I'll say is cumbersome is it seems like you have to rewind each video, because like you'll search a keyword, right? Let's say let's go back to the word love. You search the word love, and then the video will take you to where that word is said in the video. But if it's a 5-minute video and that word is said 4 minutes in, it seems like you then have to rewind all the way in order to go back to the beginning of the video. But there was a thing that I figured out, and I think it was a glitch. I don't know if this is intended or maybe this is just like a known shippable kind of thing of like, hey, if they figure it out, good for them. But like I found that if I hold like a certain combination of buttons at the beginning of like in the first like half second of the video, it'll then skip back to the beginning of the video. And it seemed like an unintentional thing because the way I was doing it, I was like, this can't be.
This isn't what they
intended.
wanted.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but I mean, it worked to my benefit because that then allowed me to do what I want faster. But in terms of typing in the words, going through the keywords that are, because you can, to search videos, you can either go into the search tab and then type in via your PlayStation keyboard, like the pop-up keyboard that is on the PlayStation. You can search things through that, or you can click a keyword that is in the video, and basically like as the video is going, you can like scroll down to the captions and then scroll through and then click a keyword. All of it was very seamless, and I didn't find it cumbersome at all, especially because you're only looking up like one keyword at a time. It's not like I'm typing in sentences, and so
sure.
It worked very well on PlayStation.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear because I love that game so much. Such a fun ride. That was the one, if you remember from that Gamescast, where I had the notebook that I just filled with scribblings of like trying to piece people together and numbering people and giving vague, this is number one because he has brown hair, is this, and then trying to trace it all and putting names to those people. I had such a great time with it. I saw Belinda on Twitter had a very similar thing where she had a bunch of notepads scrawled out with what was going on.
Yeah, and it's especially a fun game to play with people. Like as I was playing, I was texting Belinda because I saw she had just got done playing it the previous day. And it was one of those things where I was like, all right, don't tell me, but this guy is definitely doing this, right? And then like this last weekend, I had a different friend play her story with her sister, and they're playing it together. And she was talking about how it was such like a great multiplayer experience because you're like reacting to things together and putting together like notes and stuff together. Like, it's such a fun experience to have with people. And it's one of those things where as I was nearing the end of my time with this game, I kind of had that like, man, video games are cool kind of moment, right? Like there are a few times where I have that, where like the first time I remember is playing Shadow of Colossus, beating it and being like, wow, video games are cool. And that was like forever ago, right? Yeah. But then like I recently had that moment with like Florence, that was another one where I was like, man, as a medium, just video games in general, what you can do with video games, video games are just cool. I had that with this game, which is like the highest compliment I can give it. And so
where do you want to rank it?
It's top 3 for sure for me.
Okay. So that puts it Streets of Rage 4, Under Night in Birth, and Round Guard.
Honestly, I'm gonna put it at number 2. I'm gonna put it above Under Night in Birth. And so
you're not gonna make a case for Streets of Rage 4? You're not gonna come for that number 1 spot?
It's hard because I've not played Streets of Rage 4. Greg, you've played both of these games actually.
Yeah.
Where would you put them?
Telling Lies
if you had
number
like
1. I think Telling Lies is the best game we've had on this list for sure. And don't get me wrong, I like Streets of Rage, but it's like and granted, again, I'm not the side-scrolling beat 'em up guy, so like whatever. But it's still what you're talking about that I had the same thing of. Video games are cool where Streets of Rage 4 is a side-scrolling beat 'em up with good online, good tunes, good action. I didn't talk about its art style. Its art style I think is really nice and colorful and poppy, but it's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. Whereas I thought Telling Lies, the reason I talked it up so much on Gamescast back last year, and then on my top 10 list on Giant Bomb and in general on our top 10 Gamescast, was the idea of sitting there with a notebook. And I had a cup of coffee and a notebook, and I just sat there for hours on the floor, scribbling out notes and rewinding things and listening things. And like, that's not the traditional use case for video games with me. That's not how I've played any other game in my life. So to have that experience, I thought was rad.
I'm down to put it number 1. I was feeling kind of guilty to put it number 1 after you just put a new number 1.
Fuck it, man.
But you're right.
Anything can happen on PS4, 104 PSN games ranked. Currently on the list is this: number 1, Telling Lies; number 2, Streets of Rage 4; number 3, Under Night in Birth; number 4, Round Guard; number 5, Darwin Project. Sorry. Number 6, Hidden Through Time; number 7, Kamiko. Then this is no longer there. It is number 8, Foxyland 2. Number 9, Snaky Bus. Number 10, Deliver Us the Moon. That's a good looking top 10 right there.
It is.
That's 34 games total. You can check them all at kindoffunny.com/104 list. But now it's time to pick what we're gonna play next time around. It is an even day, so you will get to pick first. Blessing Adeoye.
Oh, let's
Jr.
go.
We are reading from the drop over on the PlayStation blog where Justin has put it up. We will alternate readings. You ready, Bless?
I am ready.
Emma, Lost in Memories, comes to PlayStation 4 and It Lives, PlayStation Vita. Emma, Lost in Memories is a 2D puzzle platformer game in which all the platforms and walls start disappearing progressively as you touch them. Think, strategize, run, jump, and feel in a surreal and poetic world where everything fades away.
Fury Unleashed is coming to PS4 May 8th. Fury Unleashed is a combo-driven roguelite action platformer. Each kill you make increases your combo. It hits certain thresholds and your damage resistance and healing powers will kick in. It's a game you can even beat in one ultimate combo. Are you up to the task?
Infinite Beyond the Mind comes to PlayStation 4 on May 7th. Do you stand a chance against the Wicked Queen Evangelion? Evangeline, and her army? You're the last hope to prevent her world domination. Infinite Beyond the Mind is a slick 2D action platformer where you take on evil Queen Avalon Brahman, play as either Tanya or Olga, two girls who have the power to stop the growing army and take down the evil queen.
John Wick Hex is coming to PS4. Become the Baba Yaga. John Wick Hex is a fast-paced, action-oriented strategy game that makes you think and strike like John Wick, the professional hitman of the critically acclaimed film franchise.
Mike Bithell, what up? Ping Redux comes to PlayStation 4. Ping Redux has 100 plus levels, including 12 bosses that are inspired by classic games to help keep the gameplay varied, with bombs, lava, moving hazards, and other sorts of blocks to get you in your way. Do you think you can beat it?
Reed 2 is coming out for PS4 and PS Vita, and it's digital cross-buy. Reed awakens to the memories of the old supercomputer. Reed failed. The reboot failed, and now the digital world is once again breaking down. Before the old supercomputer malfunctioned, it gave Reed backup files that must be delivered to the developer. The virtual world is now doomed. Can you get to the developer? It sounds like a cry for help.
Help me. I am the developer. I am trapped. Super Mash is coming to PlayStation 4. Super Mash is a game that makes games. Mash together two game genres to get a completely unique new game each time. Then challenge your friends to see how they do. Think the mash you made is impossible? Share its mash code with a friend or streamer and see if they can beat it.
Dude, that's the game that was in that recent
Nintendo Direct that Nintendo's we like.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Fuck. Timimari, the complete edition, is coming to PS4. Timimari complete edition includes the full Timimari game with all editions and Legend of Himari minigame. Take control of the Himari, the young female wizard traveling across various ages to settle the balance in time across the whole world.
Task Force Campus. Drawing inspiration. Oh, this comes to PlayStation 4. Drawing inspiration from the golden age of Japanese shoot 'em ups, Task Force Campus combines retro action with modern conventions, adding new mechanics and randomly generated stages with handcrafted bosses.
Ubermosh Omega is coming out PS4 digital. Ubermosh Omega, the final volume of the series, is the apex of the quote 90-second gun-fueled pit concept. Players can choose a saint, tune it to fit their gameplay style, and try to survive a gun-filled pit where you can cut bullets with swords, unleash havoc with psionic powers, and evade hells of projectiles.
Void Bastards is the final game this week. It's coming to PlayStation 4 on May 7th. Forget everything you know about first-person shooters. Void Bastards asks you to take charge, not just point your gun and fire. Your task is to lead the ragtag Void Bastards out of Sargasso Nebula. You make the decisions where to go, what to do, and who to fight. And then you must carry out that strategy in the face of strange and terrible enemies.
This might be one of the best weeks we've had.
This is a really good week.
This is a really good week.
And so it comes to you though. It's of course May 4th as we record this. You have to pick. You get the first pick.
Hold on. I'm reading the description of Super Mash again because that's the one that caught my attention. Even though John Wick Hex is one that has always grabbed my attention since its announcement. And because I like John Wick and I like Mike Bithell.
Void Bastards, of course, beloved. That's been out for a while on Game Pass.
So and here's my thing with Void Bastards because I knew Void Bastards was coming out this week. And in my head, I was like, that's probably going to be my choice. But I have a hang up with it, and this might go against the rules. I've played like an hour of Void Bastards on Xbox Game Pass, but I fell off because I just had other games I wanted to play. And so, like, since I've already played it, am I then not allowed to choose it?
See, here's my thing about it is I think that I did the same thing with Void Bastards. My thought process on that is that you weren't going to play it already. Since you
I never had
to play it. Now you can play it for your job. You can play it for PS I Love You.
Super Mash. Yeah. Kevin, can you pull up? I don't know if you already did this, but can you pull up the trailer for Super Mash? Because that's what I'm between. I'm between Void Bastards and Super Mash. Because Void Bastards is one that I've heard very, very good things about, and I love roguelites, but I just didn't have the time at the time. And here's Super Mash. This is the game where you mash together like two different games.
Take two genres and it makes these weird games out of it.
And I love the concept, and I really want to know what it's about. Oh man, Greg, are any of these sticking out to you?
Yeah, of course. For me, it's right. I'm right there with you. Where it's John Wick, it's Super Mash, and then to a lesser extent, Void Bastards because I'd fallen off of it. But I also thought Task Force Campus looked interesting, sounded interesting, not knowing if it's good or not. But for me, honestly, it's going to be John Wick or Super Mash, probably.
Oh man.
And again, you might say, Greg, though, you played John Wick at E3, and then it's a friend of the show, Mike Biffle, made that game. Weren't you going to play it anyway? I'd probably tinker with it eventually, but now I actually have a reason to play it immediately.
You know what? I'm gonna go Void Bastards, and I might just play Super Mash anyway. Okay. And so there you go.
Bless is doing Void Bastards. Greg is doing John Wick Hex. We will check in next week and see how that all shakes out for you. Always a fan of useless stats, though. That's me. I tossed this in from the PS I Love You XOXO mailbag. Mizuki wrote in, of course, to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can. It says, now that we're about a third of the way through 104 PSN games ranked, I thought I'd submit some fun, quick stats. Greg's average game ranking on the list is 17.5, while Blessings is 15.5. Pick better games, Greg. Greg's longest streak of games on the list is 6, from 25th to 30th. Blessing's longest streak is 7th, from 15th to 21st. Out of the top 10, Greg has played 6 games to Blessing's 4. This is, of course, out of date now. Greg tends to pick good or terrible games. Out of the middle 11 games in the list, 11 to 21, Greg has only ranked 2 of them, while Blessing has 9. However, Greg owns 8 of the bottom 11.
Wow.
There you go. I swing. You know what I mean? I swing for the fences sometimes. You never know where you're going to land. You shoot from the moon, you might end up on a star, Kevin. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm glad you're there. Here's where we're going to go right to this. We're going to go right into trophies and chill. All right? As you know, it's an overarching segment about trophies where if we have something to say about trophies and then we transition to the PSN profile of the week. Here's what I noticed today, getting ready for this show. Blessing, Adeoye Jr. It's going to happen very soon. I'm 25 trophies away from my 10,000th trophy.
Oh.
What the fuck are we going to do? Because I wanted to do something for it. I wanted it to be some kind of interesting trophy. But here we are. So goddamn close. And shit, it looks like I have gotten... I must not have sunk something beforehand. Because now... What did I just say it was? I'm 25 away is what
you said. You're 25 away.
Okay, so then... Well, that's what's happening. Right now, my PSN profiles is at 9,933. But that doesn't count because it doesn't count my fuel things because those are hidden. Long story short, doesn't matter. 25 trophies away from 10,000 trophies. What am I going to do? We have to have the trophy 10,000 just can't happen, Blessing. It needs to happen in something.
Now, I do want this to be a platinum because like at this point, you're probably in between a rock and a hard place where you can't just pick a new game to platinum because it's probably going to have more than 25 trophies.
So you'd have to say like, what do you want to double back to? You know what I mean? Like what? Fucking hell.
Or you might be able to find a game. They're probably plenty of games that have less than 25 trophies.
Well, yeah, right? But I mean, yeah, but
at that point, it's like cherry picking.
But you figure what? It's tomorrow. I'm gonna start John Wick Hex. Like I'm gonna be. I'm sure trophies popping that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to worry about trophies popping left and right. So it's got to be either that. It's either got to be that I stop everything and build to a platinum and nail it, or say fuck it, let it go, and then just figure out a game to get a random trophy in.
Did you ever platinum God of War?
Of course. Please. You insult me.
I mean, them Valkyrie challenges, man.
Not for me.
They'll get you.
No challenge at all. You know what I'm saying?
Really? Wow.
I think on the last one I turned the difficulty down. Yeah. Even if I was going to get crazy and say Peace Walker, look at that. 30 trophies wouldn't happen. Wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
I put this on the dock because I did the math. I'm 13 trophies away from the Days Gone plat.
Oh.
I had talked about doubling back for that. See how the updates were. I installed it. It's installed. It's there.
I mean, that sounds like a plan.
But I feel like, I wonder how it's not having played that. That seems like a commitment. It's a commitment to a game I didn't enjoy at review. Do I want just to make my point? Try to time that platinum out to be the thing? Honor Eric Jensen? See how far it's come? I don't know.
I mean, Greg, we're trying to be the number one PlayStation podcast, Greg.
It's true.
And I feel like the only way we can do that is by being able to have a definitive say on Days Gone.
Well, I mean,
because I have not played Days Gone because I did not want to play a game that seemed to have gotten not great reviews, and it's also a zombie game, and I've had those.
Sure.
But you've played it, you've experienced it, and you've looked around, and you've seen that.
I've seen it.
There are people that love Days Gone.
Hold on a second. Let's look at this too. Yeah, there are people who love them. I'm not one of them. And like I said, the whole thing is maybe I would change it.
But yeah, maybe you could change. Is what I'm saying.
I already have the platinum in Odyssey, Assassin's Creed, but if there's all this DLC, I could just make it there. You know, I mean, I love that game. Everybody knows I love that game.
Did you get all the trophies in the Spider-Man DLC?
Jesus Christ. I didn't do New Game Plus.
Oh, are there New Game Plus trophies for that game?
There's a new game. There's one trophy for beating Spider-Man in New Game Plus. I have a lot of trophies left in the DLC for Assassins. But that doesn't look fun either. Like, I want to be excited about going back and doing it, you know? I don't know. Audience, psnprofiles.com/gameovergreggy.
Should that have been the best friends talk back question? Should we have asked people what should
no, because this is something you're gonna need to be tweeting at me, because it's gonna be moving. This is moving in real time.
Yes, that's true. You can't put trophies on hold for the whole week, I guess.
Exactly. Come on. As you, ladies and gentlemen, have been driving your car around right now trying to pick up essential goods and services, I've gotten platinums. I've gotten trophies. So clearly things are happening out there. I'm looking through my recent games.
Is there an indie game that you need to double back to?
Well, there's lots of games. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 trophies here in the Borderlands DLC 2 that I haven't knocked out yet. But Jen always wants to play with me. She says I can't play that alone. This is a tough one. Because 25 is not a lot. I should have thought this earlier. And I know a lot of people are like, Greg, we told you to think about this earlier. And I was like, I thought I had more time. I don't have more time.
I mean, does it have to be a platinum?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Maybe there's just a special trophy out there.
Yeah, but again, see, like, and that's the thing is, like, I can't stop playing games. You know what I mean? I can't just stop. Right now I'm 20 trophies away from having the platinum in Death Stranding. But we all know how I go with Kojima games. Because there's a lot in here, right? The orders and legendaries and all that jazz. I'd be playing, I can't. Fucking shit. This is a tough one. I don't know. I need everybody to look at my trophies. Let me know.
I feel for you.
I can't. All right now, I can't even make a choice because it's just not cut and dry. It's not an easy one to look at and say that's the one to do. And so I don't know what to do. So everybody needs to help me. Help me help you, everybody. Now it's time to rate somebody else's trophies. Maybe this will give us some inspiration on what to do here, bless. Crash RS wrote into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can, to get his or her PlayStation trophy list. Look at Raven Syndicate is. Hold on. Got a bunch of things we can follow Raven Syndicate at. Hold on. So it's Crash. It doesn't matter. Crash RS wrote in and said, aggressing. You've not picked my tag to do PSN profiles. Are you scared of what you might find? I just recently passed the 225 mark and are working towards the goal of 250 this year. What he's talking about is platinums. 228 platinum trophies is what he sits at right now.
Wow.
I've finished every PS4 Assassin's Creed except Chronicles, all Uncharted PS4 titles, and The Last of Us twice, and many more. Crash RS. So again, we are on psnprofiles.com/Crash RS. And you look at it and you can just see it. You can just see the stuff here. What we got, like I said, a level 48 in trophies right now. 48. Now, I'm 41. 48. 12,189 total trophies, 228 plats.
I respect it.
You better respect it.
I was gonna say, they've platinumed Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Have you platinumed Hellblade, Greg?
I have not platinumed Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
And you've beaten Hellblade, right?
No, I watched Jen beat it.
Oh,
that thing where I played it in the beginning. I was like, that's all right, and then boom, Jen picked it up the next day and went nuts on it.
The thing is, the platinum for that game is very attainable. Like, I could get the platinum if I just replayed it and got the collectibles. That might be one to look into for your 10,000.
How many trophies is it?
I see. That's where the problem is. I don't know.
Here you go. Oh, 15 trophies for Hellblade.
It's very easy platinum. Like, it'll probably take you like, God, I can't remember how long.
Yeah, no, I heard it's not hard.
Probably like 8 hours.
Back for stuff, or do you have to like
You have to do it in one playthrough, so you have to play with a walkthrough.
No, I hate doing that. God damn it, Crash. Sorry, moving on here though. Crash has lots of trophies. Platinums look like this: Need for Speed Payback, Zero Utopia Invasion, Heavy Rain, LA Noire, Drowning, Attack of the Toy Tanks, Gravity Duck, Hero Trials. He's got the garbage ones, which I love, so I'm all about that. There's a Little Adventure on the Prairie, Full Blast, Foxyland 2, Marvel Spider-Man, including the 100% on Marvel Spider-Man as well. Delta Squad, Without Escape, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, One Word by Powagi, Need for Speed, Heat, Mochi Mochi Boy, Inksplosion, a game that I hated so much I stopped playing, Jack and Jill, One Night Stand, hell yeah, Drive Club, the Drive Club Platinum, Assassin's Creed 3, like we already talked about, Shenmue,
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I gotta respect it, man.
You got to. You don't have to like it. You have to
respect
it at that point. You know what I mean? Skyscrapers, which I can't imagine being good. I don't even know what Skyscrapers is. Energy Balance, Energy Cycle, Burnout Paradise Remastered. Like, it's funny because, you know, Crash's thing was, are you scared of what you might find? Well, I wasn't until you said that, and then I look at it and I'm like, yes, I am scared. That's a crazy trophy list, and you're a crazy person. I appreciate and love you. Now, everybody, please tweet at me on what I should do for my 25 platinums. I have to go here. I'm running out of time. Just like we're out of time. Blessing. Of course, the show doesn't really end, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get the exclusive post show we're doing over there. But if you have no bucks tossed your way, it's no big deal. Of course, you can watch us record the show live there. You can get the show ad free. You can submit your questions, comments, concerns, your not only your questions about PlayStation, not only your PSN profiles for judging. You could tell us which PlayStation executive you think makes the best mac and cheese, what your favorite previous PS Plus game was, and why you even use PlayStation Plus, whether it be discounts, games, or something else. Of course, you can get the show for free. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe each and every Tuesday morning. It has ads usually. And of course, there's no post show, which we're about to do. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames for the post show. Blessing, any parting words?
Was John Drake an executive? He was an executive at Sony.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Because he's an executive now.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what
he was a muckety mupp over there though. He was doing stuff.
Do you think he makes great mac and cheese?
You know, here's the problem: is that I know John Drake listens to this show, and I don't feel like saying yes or no and getting destroyed on Twitter about it. You know what I mean?
That sounds like
here's
no.
What I'll say is I know
if you thought yes, you say yes.
All right, yeah, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You XOXO. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.